The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Look at this. Oh, my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
It's the final days to save big store-wide at the Truckload event at Lowe's. Right now, get limited-time deals on your favorite tools and accessories. Plus, get 10% off in-stock kitchen cabinets with a $1,000 minimum purchase. And save even more on clearance cabinets in-store. Hurry and shop the Truckload event in-store or online while you can. Must ask cashier to apply discount at time of purchase. Exclusions apply while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details. About 126 through 28.
O'Reilly. Protect your engine with Syntec Full Synthetic Motor Oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec is designed for today's engines to dissipate heat and reduce friction and wear. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $33.99, plus 2 times O-Rewards points. Choose Syntec, available exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
All right, everybody, happy Monday. Welcome in the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, Doe?
How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good until my parlays didn't hit.
A lot of things didn't hit yesterday. I mean, I lost a lot of money because of that NFC Championship game, of course, with not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but all 100 quarterbacks for the San Francisco 49ers going down. A very unfortunate. I mean, that's just brutal.
Yeah.
That's just brutal. And I'm not saying the Niners would have won that game had Purdy stayed healthy or had anyone stayed healthy, but we would have won in that scenario because we would have got a much better game. Philly, they look freaking good.
Yeah.
Like that defense, the Bengals, we're going to get to them here in just a second. They may have won last night, not even realize it. Do you really want to take that O-line and go up against Hassan Riddick and those dudes? Like, no thank you.
Yeah, man, what a bummer. What a bummer, not only obviously for the San Francisco 49ers and their fan base, but us as football fans in general, man. We're down yesterday to the last 3 games of the football season, and like I say all the time, we just want the end of the season to be as great as the regular season. It was such a bummer that the NFC Championship game was over basically as soon as Purdy went out. You know, it was downhill from there. I mean, once he got hurt, then they put in Johnson, then he got a concussion, and then Philadelphia was in a situation where, hey, man, we don't have to do anything, man. They don't have a quarterback, so they can't throw the ball. We'll just do what we do best, which is run the ball. And then they started popping off long runs, and then the game got out of hand. It was such a terrible game to watch. It was boring to watch. I mean, thank goodness we had the night game to make up for it, though.
Oh, we did, and some may disagree. However, we'll get into this game coming up in a moment, but I am curious that with both quarterbacks going out in the NFC Championship game, what was some of the, I mean, there has to be bigger bets than the ones Kevin and I placed that just totally got screwed, correct? Like there has to be. So what do you call it? The bad beats? If you have any bets that you placed that totally got derailed because of Purdy going out, we would love to hear it. And what was the backup's name? You just mentioned it. Johnson?
Yeah, Josh Johnson.
John played for 13 NFL teams.
Played for the Bengals.
Played for the Browns for a short stint. So he
played for everybody, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. But what a tough spot for him to come into as well. I placed a $10 wager to win 60 if there was 5 sacks and the Eagles win. There was 3 sacks in the first quarter. I'm like, we're going to the old Applebee's, Nora. You might let you get 2 beers, might spoil you a little this coming up weekend, or might save it for old Valentine's Day.
You never know.
You never know. But nonetheless, that's as much as I got beat up a little bit nonetheless. But I want to open up with the game that everyone I know is tuning in to listen to what we have to say about. And that, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs finally put an end to their losing streak against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. And yes, the win over the Bengals was significant because it did put an end to that losing streak against Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, but it was significant for a whole lot of the reasons. In the 5th straight trip to the AFC Championship game, Patrick Mahomes and company, well, they punched their ticket back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd time. Patrick Mahomes is 1-1 in Super Bowl play, looking to get his 2nd Super Bowl ring in a season where he picked up his 2nd MVP honors. Of course, that technically hasn't been announced, but we kind of know where that's heading. This game had everything, Kev. It had the drama. It had the excitement level. At multiple moments throughout that game, both teams felt like we're going to lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
There was multiple moments where Chiefs fans felt we're going to watch this team lose again. Multiple moments where the Bengals thought, man, we're going to come back and win this. It was a roller coaster, and it was just that's what you want in these championship games. I believe that's what we would have got out of the 49ers Eagles. I'm not guaranteeing the Niners would have won. It just would have been a completely different outcome, or at least a different, full 4-quarter game, if you will. We're going to get to the officiating side of this conversation coming up. I'm not saying it's a completely separate conversation. It is a part of the conversation, but I am not a fan of going down the road saying that officiating cost the Cincinnati Bengals this football game. Not even a little. Look, this is why last week, Kev, if you remember, people got mad at me because I said that, hey, I was actually not impressed with the offensive line with the Cincinnati Bengals in regards to, hey, yeah, that's great. But I remember a time, like, I'm not a very good basketball player, but I had 9 points. I had 3 threes in the game. That didn't make me a 3-point shooter. That didn't make me a deadly, weapon off the bench. It just means I had a good game. And then off I go. That's the analogy I use for the Bengals offensive line. Hey, great performance against the Bills. But I mean, if you think that all of a sudden that after years and years of trying to get the majority of those guys to stick, you want me to believe that all of a sudden, bam, they just got it? No, I think it had more to do with what the Bills weren't doing than with what the Bengals were doing, but that's not the game we're talking about here. My point is I didn't want to put a lot of stock into this idea that offensive line has just magically figured it out. A team that hasn't been able to figure out the offensive line for well over a decade plus and change now, all of a sudden with these bad backups, we're just magically going to all come together. I didn't anticipate that being the case. The Chiefs have a great pass rush. It's not even the greatest of the pass rushers that played yesterday. I mean, like I joked, the Bengals, what they won, technically they lost, but what they won is they won the opportunity to not get crushed by the Eagles defensive line or the 49ers defensive pass rush. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. The offensive line played a humongous role yesterday. I think that the worst thing that could have happened to the Bengals was that their O-line playing so dominant against the Bills, because what it did is it put up this false front of, man, we're good. Our offensive line's fine. We got Joe Mixon this time. We didn't have him last time. We have all of our receivers. We are golden. We have a very good defense. They take this big win streak into this matchup against the Chiefs. The worst thing that could have happened for the Bengals was that O-line playing well against the Bills, because, Kev, what ended up happening is it eliminated the excuse train for the Bengals to be able to rely upon that to try to gain sympathy from listeners and fans, because, well, you were the healthy one. It was the Chiefs who headed in this matchup with a hobbled Patrick Mahomes, who a high ankle sprain that they were monitoring throughout the week. It was the Kansas City Chiefs who his only true number one target, his only true target really being Travis Kelce, had these back spasms that were flaring up before, and that he, as of about 10, 11 a.m., we did the Sunday morning show from Frickers. As of that morning, there was a good chance, there was a scary chance that he was not going to play, according to reports throughout the National Football League. We may not have watched. There was a chance that Travis Kelce almost wasn't going to play. Well, if either of those two don't play, they don't win that football game last night. Those two stepped up and that's what these AFC, NFC championship games are about. This is where legacies are made. This is where legacies are built. And yesterday, Patrick Mahomes solidified his legacy. We saw a big-time performance, of course, from Travis Kelce. I mean, it was just an unbelievable performance from the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bengals were banged up too. Tyler Boyd goes out. Both teams, though, really aren't allowed to use the injury excuse, because Patrick Mahomes, he was using practice squad dudes by the time this game ended. It didn't make any sense. The injuries that just throttled yesterday's NFC, AFC championship games. It was unbelievable. Got to give the Bengals credit here, though. Despite their offensive line playing so poorly, despite Tyler Boyd going out, despite the fact that they couldn't get the run game going, that was one of the worst games I watched Cincinnati play all season, and they still almost won that football game. If y'all thought I was going to pile on the Bengals today, I'm not. The two best teams in the AFC went head-to-head yesterday, and the two best teams in the AFC needed 4 full quarters to win that football game yesterday. Where me and our listeners will start to separate is how the reasons as to why the Bengals lost yesterday. The Bengals didn't score more points than the Chiefs, and their playoff run is over with. But, man, the Bengals played a fine football game considering all the stuff that they had to fight through as well. But, man, that was a good football game. The trash talk, everything that I warned the Bengals about heading into that matchup. You got what you asked for. You were cocky. You were arrogant. You were the storyline. You had the mayor running his mouth. I mean, it was an absolute blank show. But when you play dumb games, you win dumb prizes. And that's what happened with the Cincinnati Bengals. Had they just been quiet, Kev, we would be talking about what great season they had. But now they've made themselves the punchline of jokes because everyone's attacking the mayor. Everyone's attacking Eli Apple and Joe Mixon, and everyone's attacking all the guys, Burrow head and all this. This is what makes yesterday's loss even tougher because they just look silly now, and this is their fault. But outside of that, I'm so glad that game delivered because of how much of a dud the first game was.
Goodness gracious. First game was such a dud. I will back up on this is what they get because they were trash talking. That's sports. I mean, how many quiet guys out there in whatever landscape lose a game and then 2 seconds later on social media, they got the Jordan crying face on. So if they won, they lost, they were going to get mocked regardless. So is the mocking a little bit more? Is the mocking coming from Patrick Mahomes' wife and his brother and everything like that and his dad? Absolutely, because the Burrow head stuff, we smoking on that Joe Burrow pack, all that type of stuff, that's going to happen regardless. So for me, it kind of is what it is. As far as the game, as far as the offensive line is concerned, 100% correct. Chris Jones was the best player on that football field last night. I know Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. I know Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback in this league. I know how good Jamar Chase is, but Chris Jones dominated that game. Yep. Chris Jones looked like Aaron Donald in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl all game long because the run game was non-existent. So you're thinking to yourself, Cincinnati Bengal fan, hey, man, why isn't Joe Mixon in the game? Why aren't we running the ball with Joe Mixon? Well, they put Shamaji Piran in the game a lot because he's a better pass protector. And you notice in the second half, they actually got to move the ball. They scored touchdowns. Scored a touchdown in the second half. 2 touchdowns in the second half. So that's why that happened. But ultimately, the Cincinnati Bengals had their opportunities. They had several opportunities to kind of win the game or put the game out of reach. But Chris Jones just didn't allow that to happen. He was a menace on that football field. Whenever they tried to run the ball, he shot the gaps. Whenever he got pressure, they got at him. Frank Clark got after Joe Burrow a ton as well. I think on the outside, the outside tackles played pretty solid. The guys in the middle, the guards, they were terrible because quarterback like Joe Burrow, nobody's going to confuse Joe Burrow for a Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson, but he can move. He can move. We saw him pick up a first down with his legs yesterday. Outside pressure, not a problem because he steps up in the pocket. That's what he does. That's what great quarterbacks do. They step up in the pocket. They wear the hit. Situations like this with a Chris Jones, there's nowhere to step up to because he's taking another 300-pound man and putting him in his lap. So Chris Jones was absolutely outstanding.
It's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. You heard both of our takes on what went down yesterday. A lot to dissect as well, just because right now that Bengals game is still being talked about today. Chiefs-Bengals still being talked about at this point of the afternoon, which, of course, we all expected. But there's just so many storylines that are coming out of this just because of where the Chiefs are going and what's next for the Bengals and all the talk. I know, Kev, you said it's part of sports and everything along those lines, but I do think there's you have to – I do think where you're at in your journey matters of when the smack talk is coming, because there's a difference between smack talk and what was coming out of the Bengals locker room. I mean, anointing Joe Burrow the best quarterback in football when he hasn't won an MVP, he has not won a Super Bowl. I mean, technically, outside of an AFC championship trophy, that cabinet's pretty bare, and that's okay. You're only in year 3. So only in year 3, I'm defending the fact that that cabinet's not the most full because I think that thing's going to be pretty damn full by the time Joe Burrow calls it a career. But acknowledging that aspect of it, but also acknowledging that, hey, slow the heck down. It's cool because they were the lovable losers last year. And I said coming in that it was going to be a little bit different. They weren't going to be perceived the same. They were setting themselves up to be a very dislikable franchise. Yesterday in the Eagles postgame, Kev, I don't know if you noticed when their coach was asked about, what's next and everything and all this. And he was talking about how, hey, our team's not very loud. We're not, out in the media. We don't need to tell people how good we are. Some teams like to remind people how good they are. We just let our playing, do the talking for us. I think that's a shot at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. And by the way, I'm not saying what the Bengals are doing is wrong. All I'm pointing out is my observations that, hey, this is what you get. So when I say this is what they get, I don't know if they'd be getting made fun of as much throughout the day because they didn't get made fun of for losing to the Rams last year. The Niners are not being made fun of today for losing yesterday's game. And I'm not saying they don't have players that chirp, but the Bengals just did it at a different level. For instance, I don't know if you heard, the mayor. Did you hear the mayor?
Stupid.
So the mayor yesterday or over the weekend had this, it was the comment. And by the way, I kind of like when, not politics, but when politicians are trying to right? They're trying to rally the city around them and stuff. And I get what he was doing, but this was cringe worthy.
Whereas Joseph Lee Burrow, who's 3-0 against Mahomes, has been asked by officials to take a paternity test confirming whether or not he's his father.
I cringe every time I hear it. But the good news is the results came in. You ready for the results, Kev?
Yeah.
You ready for the results? All right, the results are in.
You are not.
Joe Burrow's not the father. Joe Burrow's not the father. We now know who Patrick Mahomes' father is. We know it's not Joe Burrow. But no, that was, they had the fun with that in the post game yesterday, of course. Patrick Mahomes' father came out. He's smoking a cigar. I love all that aspect of it because that's going to lead to the next big Chiefs-Bengals game. And by the way, the Chiefs didn't pummel the Cincinnati Bengals. Guess what? 3-point game. That was my point. They didn't pummel the Bengals just like the Bengals never pummeled the Chiefs. This is a true rivalry, though. This is fun, and I have a hard time believing that this is the last time we're going to see these two teams in the postseason, and maybe not even the last time we'll see them in the AFC Championship game. That's for sure.
Observation about one Patrick Mahomes Sr., not Patrick Mahomes II, senior. His dad
Has he ever smoked a cigar?
Used to be a pitcher in Major League Baseball. Look, I'm not a person that counts another person's money, but I do know for a fact because it was published on ESPN that Patrick Mahomes II makes way too much damn money for his dad to be rocking with a big lighter. Like, get him one of those fancy ones, man. A big lighter? Come on, Pat. Come on, man. Hook your pops up, man. Trust me. If I was making as much money off of Head and Shoulders or off the NFL commercials or the National Football League, my pops would be laced with the finest of lighters.
I've seen some of these. They're basically blowtorches. My goodness, they're terrifying. I have this one friend that, hey, you need a lighter? I'm like, no, I feel like I need a license to carry that thing. I just want a regular Bic lighter. But you look at my bank, see the way my bank account's set up. Yeah. I'm a Bic lighter guy. That makes all the sense in the world. But no, there was that. There was more. Travis Kelce, by the way. The Chiefs were kind of quiet. They dropped sprinkles throughout the week last week, letting the Bengals know that they heard everything. This is why the fact that, and to this point, a lot of the players that did the chirping last week for the Bengals didn't have their best performances. Not saying it's because they were chirping, but this is why I always say be careful if you're going to chirp because it's going to put you in a bad spotlight. And then the players that were letting the Bengals know that we heard you. We're not going to really say anything big time back to get this back and forth going. We're going to let our play do the field. Jones yesterday, he ate. And then ate some more. He looked like Aaron Donald out there. And he was the one. That was the last soundbite you and I played on Friday on the way out of the show was he's like, hey, we're looking forward to Sunday. And we'll see you at Burrowhead. And then he walked away. It was like, wait, he did hear Burrowhead. He did have that to say. And this is exactly why Travis Kelce had this to say during Patrick Mahomes' postgame yesterday.
Whoa! Burrowhead my ass! Whoa! It's Mahomes' house!
I'm a big wrestling guy. He would be an amazing WWE wrestler with the promos. In fact, he cut a promo on the mayor in the AFC Championship celebration.
Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni.
You heard some boos in the background.
Oh,
he still went. You can't drink during a game, but man, that's him just sober. Right? He has to be a great time out and about after a couple drinks, right?
Man, listen, obviously Travis Kelce gets all the pub from being from my hometown of Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Former Tiger, just like myself. But his brother, also Jason Kelce, Cleveland Heights Tiger, from my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. They will be facing off in the Super Bowl. First siblings to face off in the Super Bowl. How dope is that?
Pretty cool. A lot of firsts in this upcoming Super Bowl 57. The first time in Super Bowl history that two brothers will be going head to head. Shut up. That's not what I said.
Literally and
as I said that, I'm like, oh, damn. But yes, the first time ever that you'll have two African-American head coaches going head to head. I knew as I said yes. What did I say? I got all flustered because I said brothers. So I'm like, hey, I said brothers, not brothers. So brothers going head to head with the Kelsey brothers, but 2 black quarterbacks going head to head for the first time. And when I heard that, I was like, no, that ain't right, is it? It is. It is. First time 2 African-American quarterbacks going head to head in Super Bowl history. Pretty exciting stuff. We haven't even got to the Chiefs versus the Eagles aspect of this. But when we come back, we got our thoughts about the game down. I'm going to get to your comments that you left in the chat section. We're going to open the phone lines, 518-1410. Let's talk about something else that's being discussed heavily when it comes to this Cincinnati Bengals Kansas City Chiefs game, because it's hard to ignore the officiating. The officiating is a big part of this conversation, and I wanted to have the officiating conversation separate because it wasn't just this game. It wasn't just the NFL. It was the NBA. It's going to be Major League Baseball here in the next month or next month and a half. The officiating is bad. It needs to be addressed, but how much of a role did that play in the outcome of the Chiefs and the Bengals game yesterday? We'll talk about that, get your thoughts, get your calls, plus a lot of sound from other shows throughout the afternoon as well, weighing in on this option as well. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio. Give us a call.
Betting happens as fast as sports. And now every play is faster than ever before. You're on the edge of your seat until the moment when it's all on the line. Which is why it's important to pause before you play. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. So remember to set limits, know the risks, and pause before you play. To learn more, visit pausebeforeyouplay.org.
This week, Staples has deals so good, you're going to want to sit down. Are you sitting? I'll wait. Great. Right now during Staples Sit-a-thon, select chairs are more than 50% off. Like the leather Vortex gaming chair, now just $119.99 at Staples. You save $140. Plus get 2 2-ounce bottles of Purell hand sanitizer, free with the Staples Connect app. So take a seat or 2. Right now at Staples, the working, learning, and saving store. Offers end 2/4. Share offer valid in-store and online. Purell limit 2. In-store only while supplies last.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just 1 pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
When you can't stop, there's Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub sends powerful medicated Vicks vapors right to the source of your, so you can experience cough relief and breathe easier. Generations of families have trusted Vicks VapoRub to help relieve the worst cold symptoms. So next time you have a cough, reach for the Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub. Cough relieving is believing.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at metamucil.com today.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
And we are back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. We're live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page and live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. So make sure you're following all of our social media platforms, including our ESPN Dayton Facebook page as well. Kev Nash, you put out a question about, I knew where it was going to go, but throw the question out there.
Let me dig it up real quick. Reset us for me so I can find it.
Yes, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, the ESPN Dayton Facebook page. Content being sprinkled on that throughout the day, kind of leading into our show as well. Kev, what did you put out earlier today?
What letter grade would you give the referees from last night's Bengals-Chiefs game?
I think we can all, Bengals fans or not, and I'm very real with our listeners. Like, if you all think I wasn't like partially smiling so the Browns fan in me last night was partially smiling as the Chiefs were celebrating the AFC Championship. Okay, just like Bengals fans, if the Browns lost in the title game, you would you'd be full ear to ear. The reason I say partially smiling is because I just had 2 weeks of content just go down the drain for the show. Like, we shouldn't be talking Bengals off season here in January. That's February talk. That's Joe B told me. He told all of us that I'm very disappointed that he lied. He's a politician, man. I tell you, no, but that's where we're at. But yes, the officiating was a big part of the conversation last night. And the one thing that I get frustrated with, and Kev, the reason I know that I'm not full of it is because I have stuck to this talking point since we've known one another, even before we started doing the show together. I remember the Fiesta Bowl for Ohio State Clemson years ago. I was furious about that call. I was angry too, but I also was pretty upset with Ohio State because they let Clemson score 21 unanswered points. They didn't, the interception late in the game by Justin Fields. There was a lot of things.
Field goals.
Yes. It was just, there was a lot of stuff that I pointed at, and I'm consistent. So before y'all label me as hating with the Bengals here, I need y'all to understand something. I am consistent when it comes to the talking points of officiating. It's just how I am. Even with the Browns this year, there are bad calls with the Browns, but I'm like, there's bad calls everywhere. And it's like, there's opportunities given to both teams throughout. How do you capitalize on those? It's really what it's going to come down to. So, but I remember, hey, I'm not blaming the officiating for that Fiesta Bowl loss for Ohio State. There was a lot of things that Ohio State did not do well, and they are just as much to blame. What happened yesterday with the Cincinnati Bengals? Had Joe Burrow not thrown 2 interceptions, had he not had that penalty in the final drive, or what should have been what we thought would be the final drive of the game, because just like all of you, we've seen this movie before. I'm like, are we really going to watch the same movie 3 straight times? Final possession, Joe Burrow marches the team down the field against the Chiefs and sets up a field goal. And I mean, we've seen this movie. I mean, come on. You ever watch your favorite movie over and over and think something different's going to happen? It never does. That's what I thought was happening yesterday, except the Bengals made a lot of mistakes. They did not capitalize on their opportunities. Now, some of it was not officiating, in my opinion. It was the lack of an offensive line, no Tyler Boyd. They just were not their typical selves because there was a lot of other outside factors that played a role in that. But I just feel like there was so much that the Chiefs had to overcome as well that maybe their lives weren't as difficult because of officiating, but they capitalized on their opportunities, and the Bengals did not. That penalty at the very end, knocking Burrow out, or Patrick Mahomes out, out of bounds. I'm like, the amount of people I read the responses where it was people saying, hey, you know what? You just swallowed the whistle there. And I'm like, no, because if the roles were reversed and Burrow had less than a minute to march the team 90 plus yards down the field, if Burrow got shoved out of bounds and the officials did not make that call, you guys would lose your mind. So I disagree with that take because I don't think that's a universal take. I think that's when my team is the victim of a bad call. I think it should be called this way. So I disagree with that. I'm not a fan of allowing the officiating to be an excuse for why the Bengals lost last night. Joe Burrow was supposed to be a guy, and by the way, not supposed to be a guy, and he's not, but I don't think he played his best game yesterday. He did not play his best game. He threw the ball. 3 interceptions. One of them was called back, so he finished with 2. The penalty late. He made some fantastic throws. That connection with Jamar Chase in the middle of the field. I remember I'm in a group chat with some friends that were not all Bengals fans, but even you could just tell that we're like, how did this mofo do that? And that's the nice way that we said it. How did he do that? But he made big plays, don't get me wrong, but he didn't play a very good full 4-quarter game. Nobody did, to be perfectly honest, but the Chiefs overcame it. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max this morning. Here was Keyshawn, Kev, on talking about, he was dissecting the officiating, but basically carries the same sentiment. Here's Keyshawn on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
What we're not going to do is we're not going to sit up here and act as though the refs cost the Cincinnati Bengals the football game.
I agree.
You cannot push a guy out of bounds and into the fire pit, almost into the fire pit. And then, of course, Patrick Mahomes is going to put a little yeast on it and flop a little bit, but he should. He was pushed out of bounds, and he shouldn't have been pushed out of bounds. You can point to many things in the game. If would this happen? Oh, my God, if that wouldn't happen. If the refs wouldn't have, when Cook hit Hurst down the middle of the field and it was picked off, well, what if the referee would have turned his head and looked the other way and never saw it?
So, again, I'm not a fan. I agree with him. There's a lot of things that woulda, coulda, shoulda. But the Bengals made a lot of mistakes as well. The officials made mistakes. The Chiefs made mistakes. I'm not a fan on jumping on the bandwagon of, oh, man, the officiating cost the Bengals the game. But I'm going to hand it off to Kev, because what the fair talking point is officiating, well, it was less than stellar.
Horrible officiating all weekend long. I know this isn't the time for NBA talk, but let's rewind to Saturday night. NBA, Lakers versus Celtics. LeBron James taking on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. LeBron James, one of the best basketball players ever to play the game of basketball, has the ball in his hands. He drives the lane for the game-winning dunk or layup, whatever you want to call it. Blatantly fouled on his arm. The referee swallowed his whistle for some strange reason. You can't do that. You have to call what you see. LeBron James was fouled. He should have been at the free throw line shooting 2 free throws with zeros on the clock for their chance to win the game. So obviously it's the regular season. People aren't open arms. The Lakers are a 10 seed. It's more about LeBron James not being respected. And I don't understand how something like that can happen. So you fast forward to the big games. This is football. Now, this is really when it matters. It's the playoffs. It's the NFC, AFC championship game. We're going to get perfection out of our referees, right? Wrong. Very first drive of the game of the Philadelphia Eagles game, Devontae Smith from Bama makes a great catch, only it wasn't a catch. The very next play, Philadelphia Eagles scored a touchdown. Little did we know that would probably be the only touchdown they would need to win the game, because they lost their quarterback soon thereafter. Then you fast forward to the night game, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I am not a fan of these people out here doing the freeze frame holding calls. Like that's beside the point. I'm not talking about referees missing a holding call, because as everyone knows, holding happens on every single play. I have a big problem with the bonus play. They got the bonus play, the do-over play. I have a big problem with that for multiple reasons. As you know, one of them made me miss a parlay. The other, they got a bonus play. Like, there's no do-overs. Like, this isn't backyard basketball where, oh, mom called me in the middle of the shot. Oh, take the ball back out. Come on. No, you don't get do-overs in this thing. So that, and there was some other questionable calls out there. The sideline situation, absolutely a 15-yard penalty. As soon as he broke containment on the pocket, don't hit him late. And that's exactly what they did, because I thought if they didn't knock him out 15 yards, it was still 8 seconds on the clock. They would have to complete like a 10-yard pass to be in field goal range. So you still had a chance being the Cincinnati Bengals, but you move him up 15 yards. That's ball game. That's lights out. He's going to make that kick. And I just am a proponent of the best games need to be refereed by the best games, but that's what we are supposed to get in the NFL. The Facebook comment that I posted, question rather, basically, a lot of Bengals fans giving them Fs, and then people that aren't fans of the Bengals like a C. A C out of referees? We can't have a C performance out of the referees. Like, that's just unacceptable on the biggest stage. Like, these are the last 3 football games of the season, and you just can't have that. We had questionable calls in the Ohio State games, and they're on the biggest stage, and you're 100% correct. a play in the first half should matter as much as it does in the second half or the end of the game. You are 100% correct, but that's not how we're wired because the last thing we see is the most important thing we see. So my thing, not just the NFL, not just the college, not just the NBA, to all refereeing out there, how come that hasn't gotten better? Because we all say that all sports have gotten better. We've made it safer. We've made it more entertaining. How come the refereeing seems like it's gotten even worse? Like something needs to happen. Is it more referees on the field, more referees on the court? I'm not sure what needs to happen, but something needs to happen because now that you can gamble basically in any state in the United States, more people are going to be upset. Not just the fans of your team, people that are losing money on these games. I lost a couple bucks on the do-over play because Kelsey picked up a couple yards. I hit my parlay. Next thing I know, it's third down again. Like, wait a minute, it's fourth down. Why do they still have the ball? Like, oh, yeah, they gave him a do-over. And they literally said that on the broadcast. So that's really what's irking me. The refereeing is a topic in the game, but is not, I repeat, not the reason why the Cincinnati Bengals lost the game. They had their opportunities. Even on that intentional grounding, the Cincinnati Bengals ended up picking up that first down on that drive. I thought they were going to go down there and win it. I thought, oh, man, they just picked up a 3rd and 16. They're going to win this thing. This is going to be crazy. The show is going to be great this week. And then Chris Jones happened. Chris Jones happened. And then, I mean, I don't even know how Kansas City got down the field. I don't even remember. Only thing I remember about that last drive is him running around the right end and then him getting pushed out of bounds. I don't remember any pass completions. I don't remember anything because I'm just sitting there like.
And that was on a third down.
Yeah.
That runaround that led to the Osai penalty was on a third down. And I'm with you too. I'm trying to think, was there a handoff?
Remember.
I guess there was a Pacheco handoff that picked up 2 or 3 yards.
I just don't remember any of those plays. And another thing about Osai, like I know Bengals, some of the players, definitely some of the fan bases coming at him, everything like that. He was a monster on that field. He played a great game up until that point. He played a great football game. Like you heard his name more than any other Cincinnati Bengal out there outside of Eli Apple. Like he played, and Eli played a good game. He had a pass interference, but for the most part, he played a solid game. They all look at this level of football. It was 23-20. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be good plays. It's going to be bad plays. Everybody left it out there on the field. We're not into the moral victory stuff, but they shouldn't be mad at their team. You can be mad at what happened with Osai and the 15-yard penalty, but, you know, it wasn't like lack of effort.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, and by the way, you said some of the Bengals players going at Osai. I'm going to recalibrate that, reset that. It's one player. Jermaine Pratt, I thought that was BS. I saw Marcus Spears. I retweeted his stuff earlier. He actually says that's bull blank. I bet I get that he's mad, but this ain't the way to handle it. It's a 4-quarter game. I wonder if he got at Joe for intentional grounding and all the interceptions he threw,
or when he got ran over by Pacheco on the sideline.
So
Pacheco picked up 15 yards on that when you had him dead to right. So he trucked you.
Yep.
Is Osai running over there? They make the tackle. Like, come on, man. This is a team game, man. He made a bonehead play. Absolutely. You should be mad, but you should be lifting your teammate up in that situation, man. Like, you don't think that he's going to be sitting on that bench crying? You don't think he's going to be crying on that flight back to Cincinnati? Like, he's going to be crushed about this because even though Joe Burrow thinks this window is open, as long as his career is going to be playing in Cincinnati, these windows open and shut very quickly. As Dan Marino, he went to the Super Bowl, I want to say, in his 2nd or 3rd year in the NFL, and he never made it back. So these opportunities are super valuable. So you don't think Osai is mad at himself? He's more mad at himself than anybody could be mad at him.
Yeah, so by the way, I'm a big fan of Osai. In fact, unfortunately, he's had a tough go of it because his very first play ever in the National Football League was a preseason sack of Tom Brady last season, not this most recent season, his rookie season the year before. Now, that sounds all fun and dandy, right? No, that sack of Tom Brady on the very first play of that preseason game against Tampa, he had a season-ending injury. He comes back. He got better as the season went on. He was an animal yesterday for the Cincinnati Bengals. He makes that one mistake along the sideline that leads to that penalty that put the Chiefs within 10, 15 yards that they still had to convert to get there, but put them in that position to be able to hit that field goal to win it all. After the game, of course, everyone's talking about Jermaine Pratt being a bad teammate. I think that's being a very bad teammate, but let's highlight a good teammate. How about this? This is a cool story. BJ Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big BJ Hill fan now.
Had an interception in last year's AFC Championship game.
Yep. And you know what he did right here? And it's easy to be a good, and this is what I always say. I say this all the time. It's very easy to be a good teammate when everything's going well. 10-game, 11-game win streak. You in the Super Bowl last year. You win the AFC North this year. You favorites kind of, amongst perception heading into this matchup with the Chiefs. Oh, great teammate. You lose. We find out who you really are. Jermaine Pratt, we kind of found out a little bit about who he is. But BJ Hill in the post game, Joseph Osai is getting all these questions, that media scrum that's around him. BJ Hill looking like a club bouncer, just standing right next to him. Every time a reporter would ask a question about why did you do this, why did you do that, he would put his hand in front of the reporter and say, no, we're not answering those questions. Because you could see Osai, the tears coming down his face. I thought that was really cool. Everyone needs someone like a BJ Hill in their life that's going to be, hey, yeah, things suck right now, but I'm by your side. Not this whole Jermaine Pratt crap that I just thought was absolutely ridiculous. Great player, by the way, Jermaine Pratt, and he's up for a nice little extension. He may or may not get it. I don't know. But we talk about the locker room stuff that Zach Taylor's done a good job of building. That ain't it. But BJ Hill is, and everyone else came out in the post game too saying, hey, we're going to rally around him, yada, yada, yada. That's cool. The BJ Hill stuff was cool. I just thought that was necessary to point out because, I love finding reasons to bury the Bengals, and Jermaine Pratt gave me that ammunition, but I thought the BJ Hill thing was kind of cool as well. All right, folks. So the Cincinnati Bengals, 518-1410, 518-1410. I know who we got, Bob in Riverside. Bob, let me see. Bob in Riverside, how are you, sir? Could you give us a couple more minutes?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sounds like a plan. That's Bob in Riverside. Can't wait to hear what he has to say. He always is one of my big adversaries on the host versus caller list. That's for sure. But here we go. We'll step away for a few minutes. 518-1410. Thoughts on last night's Bengals-Chiefs AFC Championship game. The Bengals come up just short, as Kevin and I have both kind of elaborated on in two different ways, of course. At the end of the day, what it's coming down to is there's a lot of reasons the Bengals lost. I just don't think you could blame officiating. Bad officiating is its whole separate conversation that we will have, but we cannot blame officiating on why the Bengals lost yesterday. 518-1410, that's the number to call. Bob in Riverside, I see Nick, he's on hold. Some more guys calling in. We'll get you guys on hold, and we'll get your reactions when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
This year, the only app that you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Download FanDuel now and use promo code KINNER, KINNER, so that you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything, from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. My personal favorite, in-game parlays. You hang on every tackle, on every pass, every handoff, every touchdown. You could build your own, and they are so much fun to follow throughout the game. All on a top-rated sportsbook app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today with promo code KINNER to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Are you ready for tax season? Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment. Or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Oh, want better visibility to get you through the winter? A new pair of premium wipers can help. Right now, you can earn a $10 bonus reward when you buy a pair of Rain-X Quantum Wiper Blades. See better and stay safe on the road all winter long. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Offer available to AutoZone Rewards members.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is a firm that practices family law exclusively. We focus on only one area of the law to maximize our strength and effectiveness as advocates for clients that have everything on the line: their homes, retirement, savings, and most importantly, their children. We're the partner our clients count on. If we can be of help to you, give us a call.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought I'd care about gardening until I bought a house in the suburbs. But now I find myself in conversations about liquid fertilizer, and I wonder, am I the fertilizer guy now? No way. Everyone knows the ratio between phosphorus and nitrogen, right? Yeah, I'm still totally cool.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Chris, this needs to go to Parkville by 3.
Joy to the holiday packages that keep coming at Jimenez Couriers.
It's coming your way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs delivery drivers with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Oh, want better visibility to get you through the winter? A new pair of premium wipers can help. Right now, you can earn a $10 bonus reward when you buy a pair of Rain-X Quantum Wiper Blades. See better and stay safe on the road all winter long. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Offer available to AutoZone Rewards members.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Super Bowl 57 is set. The Chiefs and the Eagles coming up here 2 weeks from yesterday, of course. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. If you haven't done so, make sure you download the app. It's free, it's secure, it's easy to use. You can use promo code Kinner to create your new account, and you'll have opportunities for some first bet or no sweat first bet opportunities with the Super Bowl coming up to $3,000 if you end up not hitting on your first bet. I mean, it pays to lose almost. I mean, it's pretty dang cool. So again, the no sweat first bet opportunity. Use promo code Kinner, KINNER. Download FanDuel's FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's America's #1 sportsbook app. Free, secure, super easy to use. It's the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, off and rolling here on a Monday. Reaction to yesterday's tough loss for the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game. We're getting your reaction now live on Facebook. And, obviously you're getting a good balance of, Bengals still fans upset, and then a lot of fans of other fan teams who are kind of letting the Bengals fans have it a little bit as well. Look, y'all think I'm enjoying the fact that the Bengals lost. As I told you, I could enjoy it from being a Browns fan. Kev could enjoy it from being a Steelers fan. But the first thing Kev and I said today when we came into the studio was, F. The Bengals just cost us money on our sports bets over the weekend, but they also cost us 2 weeks of content. So if you think I'm happy about the Bengals losing, as the great Corso would say, not so fast. I totally disagree with that. But
we got to really work now.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness.
I mean, it's easy content when the teams are still playing. Now we got to with show prep and do research. Goodness gracious.
I mean, now when I say Burrow's bad, and it's true. I mean, my God, it doesn't have as much punch. I mean, come on. No, but nonetheless, Bengals, Keith Tulliver. Let me make sure everyone could read these. Bengals have way more reasons that they lost than the referees, and that's been the majority of the conversation today. About the officiating, the Bengals lost. There's a lot that went into that great game. By the way, that was a great game. That's exactly what you wanted. Burrow was making fantastic plays. You had obviously Patrick Mahomes making big plays. I mean, the defense at times making big plays. It was still a 23-20 final. That's not what you expect. That's what's crazy about these games when you have Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and these great offenses and these great quarterbacks, and they're low-scoring games all the time. It's the defenses that step up and make big plays. And the defense yesterday for both teams made the plays that were necessary to keep their teams in it. I mean, even when it felt like, I'm not going to lie to you, I felt like the Chiefs were kind of kicking the Bengals' ass for a while. I was like, man, the Bengals are getting dominated right now. And you look at the scoreboard, I'm like, oh, no, the Chiefs are screwing around. They're about to F around and find out. Because they keep messing up. They're not putting their foot on the throat of the Bengals. And, the Bengals got the field goal to make it 7-3. Then it was 14-3. Then it was 14-6. And then it was 13-6 or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh, man, they're letting them hang around. That ain't good. When it went into halftime, I felt like the Chiefs totally outplayed the Bengals, but the Chiefs lost the first half, even though they were up at the first half, because they didn't put the Bengals away. And they actually had a bigger lead over the Bengals heading into halftime last year's AFC Championship game, and we know what happened. Well, the same thing happened, except the result's slightly different. But it's always going to be a slugfest when those two teams play. And now you add the rivalry aspect into it because of the jaw in between the two teams and the fan bases, and now there's so much on the line. That's what really makes a rivalry, when there's so much on the line and the fans are chirping and they have a right to be chirping. That's what makes it fun, and that's what makes this matchup so fun. When you head into those matchups, Kevin, you have no clue who's going to win. And you don't. Yesterday, Bengals fans chirped a lot last week. You know how quiet it was. Pretty quiet on social media yesterday. It's pretty quiet. I noticed. There wasn't a whole lot of chatter amongst Bengals fans on social media. I'm not saying y'all didn't tweet or whatever. I'm just saying I felt a different vibe heading into yesterday's game. Not that you knew they were going to lose, but I think deep down, no matter how much smack talk you guys did, no matter how much you tried to poke that bear, and you guys did, I think even some of y'all were fearing what was going to go down. Especially, I think the pressure, Kev, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I feel like because of the injuries to Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, I think that didn't make it easier for the Bengals. I felt like that added to the pressure of, man, we beat them when they're 100%. But what if we lose to Patrick Mahomes, who's not 100%? Travis Kelce, who, could barely walk until he got some medicine, whatever, yesterday. And now he comes out and balls out against I'm not saying it's embarrassing to lose to that, but that does add to it a little bit. The performance from Kelce and Mahomes, it was next level stuff.
Receivers drawing a blank from Green Bay that they
brought
Scantling, yes. Huge. He had over 100 yards receiving, had a touchdown in that game. Their guys stepped up, and that's our joke on the show, the next man up, step up and everything like that. But we saw backup step up last week for the Cincinnati Bengals on the offensive line. Now we saw backups and injured players step up for the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And like you said, I mean, all these games, 3 points.
Yep.
All these games, 3 points. This time it went in Kansas City's favor. But, I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals, they had their opportunities. That field goal right before the half, obviously, we got points on the board. We cut into the deficit. But after that big play from T. Higgins, man, you want 6. You get a touchdown in that situation, things are totally different. Me and my brothers have this conversation all the times about, I'm a person that believes, hey, man, when you get inside the 20 and kick a field goal, that's a win for the defense.
Yep.
They held you to a field goal. You didn't go earn a field goal. Now, you kick a field goal outside of 30 yards. All right, well, the points are points. But once you get inside that 20 to 15, you got to score touchdowns, man. And I know it's tough. It's tough. These are the best teams in the league. When you get this deep into the playoffs, these are the best of the best. So things aren't going to be super easy, but you got to come away with 6 there, man. I would almost like to see a forced pass to Jamar Chase in that situation. I know they did like 1 to T, and then they did like a flare out, I want to say, to Mixon in the flat. Ultimately, they had to settle for the field goal. But I really thought if they could have got a touchdown in that situation, I think that would have opened up the gates for the Cincinnati Bengals.
23-20, the final, Chiefs over the Bengals AFC Championship game. The Chiefs, their 5th straight AFC Championship game, going back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in the last 5 years. They're 1-1 in the Super Bowl throughout this 5-year stretch. Patrick Mahomes looking to get his 2nd Super Bowl to add to that little trophy case of his that's getting pretty full at the moment. More Facebook reaction. Nick Allison on Facebook says, Kenner didn't think we would make it as far as we did this year. That's not true. Actually, I kept talking about the expectations of the Bengals. I mean, we talked about blank or bust when it comes to this team. I said it was winning the AFC Championship or bust, not necessarily winning the Super Bowl. But, I mean, hey, this team is better than they were a year ago, and they didn't make it as far. I think that's a not a problem. Like, this team's still going to have talent heading into next year. They're going to be right here competing for it again next year. But I do believe that they came up slightly short of what the expectations were for a roster that was, like I said, better than last year. So, Nick, I disagree. I did not think that they made it farther than I expected. I predicted they'd beat the Ravens. That's not a hot take. They should have beat the Ravens. I predicted they'd beat the Bills. That wasn't a hot take. I believe that they're better than the Bills. I did predict the Chiefs would win, though, for all the reasons I said on Friday, and I think a lot of those came out to be true. I think all the smack talk came back to bite them in the butt a little bit. That's not necessarily why they lost, but I think that played a role in adding that extra motivation to the Kansas City Chiefs, that's for sure. 518-1410 to the phones we go. We got Bob in Riverside. Bob in Riverside, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. We lost, but I'm still doing great. To me, the MVP was obvious. And even though Patrick was absolutely the best quarterback on the field, the MVP was Chris Jones. Both of Burrow's interceptions were Chris Jones. He rushed them. Kev made a great point. Bengals got 3 instead of the touchdown right before the half. Chris Jones. T. Higgins was breaking open. He was breaking open. Burrow had to get rid of it because, they didn't have much time, before the clock ran out there before the half. And also Chris Jones was right there. When they got the ball back, I thought we'd win the game. 2 minutes to go. The grounding, that was Chris Jones. Chris Jones is moving up and down the line. Which, first of all, that ain't fair. You should have, you know what? If you're a left or right defensive end, that's where you should have to stay. You can't just be finding
They kept flipping them between the guards. They put them on the outside of the tackles. They moved them all over the place.
He was all over the place. When he grounded the ball, that was Chris Jones came up the middle. When he got sacked on 4th down, he went over there and found Adeniji, did like Reggie White, picked him up and just trucked him. And it was Chris Jones was all over the place. It reminded me of the Super Bowl last year with Aaron Donald. When you got them type of guys, they show up big time, and that's what happens. The refs, when you go into a game, I expect bad calls. That's just what they do.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? That's just what I know. I know it's awful. Like you said, Kev, you can't be a C on a stage like that, but they're always like that. They're always like that. And any Bengal fan that says that when Mahomes got hit out of bounds and say, well, stop it, or any fan, I've heard that before too. Come on, you got to throw that flag. That was flagrant. I feel sorry for Osai. He had an outstanding game, but you still got to know better. And like you, Justin, I appreciated class of B.J. Hill. And Jermaine Pratt, you know who his best friend is? B.J. Hill. That's his best friend. They went to college together. They were roommates together. And I wonder whether that had something to do with B.J. Hill showing that class and standing up for that kid, because the kid was outstanding. He made a bonehead play, man, but you can't do that to your teammates. And as much as I love Jermaine Pratt and the type of guys that Zach Taylor talks about having in the locker room, I would have loved to have Jermaine Pratt back, but I think he said he wants to come back. I don't think Zach will let him come back after that.
He has publicly apologized too. he did come out, and I mean, again, whatever that's worth, but like I always say, like when you're winning, it's easy to be the good teammate, but when you those moments, like Stephon Diggs, I think is a fantastic player, fantastic locker room guy, but we saw him kind of show some uncharacteristic responses in their loss against the Bengals last week. I don't think that's who they are all the time, but I do think you find out a little bit about people when the chips are down like they were last night. Pratt did come out and say that he was, I mean, wholeheartedly 100, he takes 100% full responsibility, that's not who he is. I thought that was pretty cool of him to come out with that apology. But nonetheless, we'll see what they do. Yep.
But you gotta remember too, man, cameras are everywhere, and you can't put something like that out. Because again, everybody has the emotions of the game, but he was the only one did that to his teammate. And again, you when we go back and look at the film, you better have played a perfect game to come out and do some crap like that.
That was what Kev's point was earlier. I think
like, yo, you got trucked, bro. You got trucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but kudos to the Bengals. I'm happy with as far as they got. Been nice to go further, but like I told you guys last week, I didn't want to go to the Super Bowl and lose. And I swear, I don't think nobody's going to beat the Eagles. Anybody that had 75 sacks, that's unreal. With our makeshift offensive line, Joe Burrow would have got killed. So the best thing happened was we stopped right here.
Let me tell you one thing. First of all, it's not 75 sacks, it's 74. Because if they had 75 sacks, I would have won $60. They needed 5 damn sacks. They had 70 heading into that. Unbelievable. Anyways, but
couldn't throw the ball.
Hey, take care, Bob. Appreciate you.
Hey, Ken, that one thing, you know what? The LeBron James no call, that upset me more than anything because that was so blatant.
Ridiculous.
I mean, that was like right there.
Ridiculous. I don't know what was more ridiculous.
Appreciate it, Bob.
I don't know what was more ridiculous than no call on LeBron or LeBron going into full Oscar mode.
Well, I'll tell you the most ridiculous thing of it all was the social media apology the next day. I think that makes it worse. I think that makes it worse.
That was terrible.
The NFL and the NBA and like Major League Baseball, when there are like when a baseball game ends on a called strike 3 that should not have been a called strike 3, there's nothing worse than that dumb, pointless social media apology the next day because
I'm putting it up on the page and I'm ass.
What does that? It doesn't accomplish anything. In fact, all it does is, I mean, when that goes on social, go read the comments. Does anyone say, "Oh, well, by golly, we all make mistakes and we're all allowed to have a second chance"? No, it makes it worse when LeBron misses free throws to win a game. He doesn't tweet out an apology. When a coach has a bad game, he doesn't tweet out an apology. When these organizations just make bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, they don't tweet out apologies. Stop making the officials tweet out these lame apologies that there's not one thing that they do other than just generate even more heat and more negative conversation. I'm not saying it was right for the no call or the wrong call, but I mean, move on. Like I don't know. I have a huge problem with the apologies or the league addressing that it's wrong.
I'm not a fan of the 2-minute report. I believe that's what it's called in the NBA, where they go over and they show all the missed calls. I understand it because they want to be transparent with the public about what they're doing. But that particular tweet was bad. Like, we are just as upset as everyone else. We want to make right calls. No. Let's get a real person, the head of officials at the NBA, drop a message on Twitter and do it or something like that, because reading a statement doesn't give you the same feels as someone actually speaking it. So I'm always been a proponent of like, hey, the referees have to be held accountable. And I know referees around town, and some people, well, not even some, it's like a code among refs that we don't talk or whatever. But like, man, it just seems like whenever there's bad calls made, and then the game is over, they zip up their jacket and they go trotting off the floor, and we never hear from them again.
Yep. I look at them as, I feel like we as fans hold officials, though, to a higher standard than we do our own players. Like you say, it's unacceptable to have a C grade for an official in the AFC Championship game. Well, I say the same thing about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, I'll give you a C+, B- if you have the fandom curve if you want to. But I don't think he played great yesterday. Now we could say it's the offensive line, but I mean, I heard, some, analysis throughout the day talking about Patrick Mahomes, his bad performance the last time he was in the Super Bowl. And I'm like, hold up. That was the offensive line. His whole O-line was out that year because that was the COVID year, and his whole O-line tested positive for COVID and they were out. And of course the Bucs just had trucks and trucks of dudes coming at him. So that didn't help.
Patrick Mahomes only had one bad playoff game, and that was last year's AFC Championship.
Last year's second half. Because that first half they were up, whatever. But
I mean, The reason I would say you can't have a C performance out of referees, especially on these big of stages, is because, and a player could, is because the players have an opponent. The referees don't have an opponent. They're not playing against somebody. Somebody's not actively trying to kill them and attack them. They're call what you see. So I'm not trying to be an ageist here. Do we need younger referees out here with better eyesight, with better hand-eye coordination? It's a question, not being ageist, but like maybe that would help. Like, because I mean, look at these referees, they're up in their age. It is what it is. Like, is that something that needs to be talked about? I don't know. I'm asking the question.
No, I don't think, I mean, either younger people or more older people. I mean, just more people out there. I just think the sport, I mean, my other takeaway, we'll get into the officiating, come up in a moment. I'm sorry, real quick. We'll get back because I have some other pieces I want to get to when it comes to the officiating conversation. Although it does overlap with this Bengals game last night, 23-20 the final, Chiefs over the Bengals. I want to continue to get some of your, the listeners' feedback. Let's continue with the calls. Let's go to Nick. Nick, how are you, my friend?
Hey, man. So I'm just going to start because you're talking about officiating. The Bengals lost. They had opportunities. Bengals fans just stopped. It's not the official's fault. But to your point, with the officiating, all I ask is for consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
You and I have talked about the officials in baseball, right? Bad strike zones, but at least they've been consistent through the whole game, right? What's a bad strike in the first is a bad in the ninth. Kevin, you talked about the flare out play to Mixon around the goal line where he is blatantly punished out of bounds by a second KC defender.
Mm-hmm.
The ref even falls over because he's hit so hard that the official is hit by the KC guy. And it was further out than the Osai play, right? So all I'm asking for is consistency. If you're going to be consistency bad, don't call it there. Don't call it in the biggest moment of the game, right? So it's just bad all over. And the NFL has a real problem because the rating's going to come out here soon. It's probably going to be the highest rated NFL game watched, right?
Yeah, definitely numbers on the board for sure.
And with the NFL, partnering with FanDuel, and you got teams like the Bengals who partnered with Betfred, and now legalized gambling. What was trending on Twitter last night?
NFL fixed or something like that?
NFL rigged.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna have this instant outrage, and you're going to lose fans that are going because they're going to see this stuff. Because, like you said, people saw this. They saw a redo. A guy, yes, they showed it on the All-22. On the All-22, they show a guy running in. But you know what? There was no whistle blown. The whistle wasn't blown until Kelsey was tackled. The play was over.
And that cost me $80 because I didn't hit my parlay.
How can you say a redo? There was no whistle. I think earlier in the game, there was a play where they stopped it and you didn't hear the whistle, but it was because the fans were so loud, you couldn't hear the whistle. But you saw multiple referees waving their arms.
Let me ask you, Nick, you said that people are going to check out on the NFL. Is that real or is that just talk? Are we really about to stop watching the biggest sport?
Yeah, because Chiefs fans, they're going to be tuning in.
Right. Like, I'm a Steelers fan, and I watch every big NFL game. Like, I'm watching AFC Championship game. I'm going to watch the big game in 2 weeks. I'm going to be locked in. Like, I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to keep complaining and watching.
But I think the interest will change, right? You know, the old age adage when you were younger and you watched wrestling, and then you found out that a lot of it was staged and everything. You had a different point of view on it, right?
He said staged, not fake.
What?
Staged?
No, that's real.
Really staged.
Nick's like, hold on, is this
what
dude
I'm
for real?
saying? You have a different perspective, and there's a different mindset, and you may miss a couple things here and there, not turn in as much. You may not get every pay-per-view, right? So I don't know that they'll never check out, but I think there's going to be a difference of if you watch that in the AFC Championship, and 2 weeks we got a Super Bowl, right? They're going to run out officials that, one, are all-star officials, so they've never officiated with each other. Don't know how many calls we're going to have. Do we have another catch situation like in the first game that wasn't a catch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those things are going to add up, and especially with so many more people now putting money on games, it's a whole different situation.
Nick, appreciate the call, my dude. Appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Absolutely, guys.
Yeah, that's the sports betting side and the credibility side and all this. I tell you what, we're gonna step away for a few moments. We're gonna pick up with the officiating conversation on the other side. I think the one thing that's most intriguing to me is I've truly never once said, I've never in the history of my 33 years of life turned off a game or left a game and said, man, that was a hell of an officiated game. Man, that number 43 referee right there, I'm going to buy his jersey. That referee, I don't think we ever, like when we say it's bad officiating, well, what's good officiating? Nick just said, well, I want consistency. Even when there's consistency, we're still going to focus on the calls that were against our team. Would anyone have felt that, well, we had bad calls against us, but at least the Chiefs had some bad calls against them as well? I feel like we are always going to be down on officiating. The other thing is I don't think that bad officiating is saved for the playoffs or saved for these big moments. The reason that we think there's bad officiating in these big moments is because these are the biggest moments of the season. These same type of bad calls, maybe not that replay the third down one. That one, I have nothing. When Bengals fans are going off about that, I'm like, yeah, y'all might have a little point there. You know me, I'm only
$80, man. I lost $80. I had a $5 bet that would have turned into $80. Kelsey goes over 80 yards. I'm like, I'm in the green. Hey, let's get it popping. Hey, date night on me, a cheap date night, but the date night nonetheless. And then next thing I know, 3rd down and 9. And I'm like, wait, what happened? And then Romo said, oh, they gave him a do-over. Like, what?
It was
do-over.
Well, I was pissed because, I kind of was going for the Chiefs. It's just, my hater. I was like, come on, Chiefs, like, let's go. And then when it was the 4th down, I'm like, it's 4th down. I was pissed. And then I gave him the 3rd down. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. So I knew what it was like to be a Chiefs fan for a little bit because I'm like, they were happy. But that's the thing. Bengals fans, you're so outraged about officiating. But let's be clear. If you were given the extra call or if you were given the redo, would you be because I promise you in Kansas City, they're not complaining today. They're not upset about that officiating, right? Like, I think that's the thing. If you go to the markets of all teams that lose these close games in the playoffs, we're all having those same conversations. You go to Kansas City, they're talking about, 3rd Super Bowl appearance for Patrick Mahomes and the toughness and blah, blah, blah. I highly doubt officiating has been mentioned once in any of those shows unless they're poking fun at Bengals fans for blaming officiating. Not all poking fun at those Bengals fans blaming officiating for why they lost that football game. But I do believe that everyone thinks that officiating is at its worst in the playoffs, and I don't think that's the case. There is bad officiating in the regular season as well, but sometimes if you're watching a game that doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot, who cares? If the game's not close at the very end and it's a bad call, who cares? But bad calls against two great teams, playing in a great game with a lot on the line, it's easy to look back and say that those calls cost that team this and that. But I just think officiating is consistently bad. And I don't think it's a perfect art. I don't know what good officiating looks like. If good officiating is, you never heard a whistle or didn't see a flag be thrown, is that good officiating? Because you could argue that bad officiating is not calling anything either. It's a tough balance. But let's pick up with this on the other side. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. I see our good friend Shaw is calling in now. He's on hold now. I think Brian and Salina is on hold. So We'll get to a couple of you guys on the other side. 518-1410. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The hottest ticket in town.
On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio.
And listen to the play.
This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own Jon Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone loves The Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jade, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Look at this. Oh, my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Have you ever thought about having a podiatric physician examine your feet? Doctors of Podiatric Medicine set broken bones, perform wound care, and remove bunions. Common health issues that they treat include ingrown or fungal nails, corns, warts, and skin problems like athlete's foot. Foot exams are easy and can prevent many foot problems. If you can't walk, work, or enjoy sports activities without pain, what are you waiting for? To find a podiatric physician who is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
I don't want to go to bed at night dreading waking up in the morning, knowing that I'm going to feel like a rusty lawn chair, getting out of bed and getting opened up and not being able to really move for a couple hours really throughout the day.
For former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter and those dealing with daily aches and pains, QC Kinetics regenerative pain treatments are a game changer, providing long-lasting relief.
Go into a specific joint, a specific region, and then help promote that healing process using your own body's mechanisms to heal. I mean, that's been something that's pretty powerful, and there's no surgery, there's no downtime.
QC Kinetics natural treatments help the body heal and restore itself. No more rusty lawn chair.
It's no surprise to see people being willing to try this first, especially when it has such great results.
Pain relief the natural way. QC Kinetics. Call today for your complimentary consultation. Find out if you're a good candidate for treatment.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is a firm that practices family law exclusively. We focus on only one area of the law to maximize our strength and effectiveness as advocates for clients that have everything on the line: their homes, retirement, savings, and most importantly, their children. We're the partner our clients count on. If we can be of help to you, give us a call.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
And we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Of course, by the way, your calls on the Bengals-Chiefs game, always welcome. We'll continue to take your calls in live reaction to that. But right now, we've kind of transitioned a little bit more almost into the officiating part of it. And, I played the audio a little bit ago of Keyshawn Johnson from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Talking about that Bengals-Chiefs game, talking about there's a lot of things that went into the outcome of that game. And he said, what we're not going to do is blame officiating. And that was the one thing I caught up with Kev earlier today. It's like, hey, we're going to talk about officiating, but that's its own separate conversation. Yeah. I'm not a believer in saying officiating cost anyone games, because if that Osai penalty at the end that some Bengals fans believe should not have been called, not saying that they don't think it's a penalty, but for some reason we think that, hey, that you swallow your whistle there. I totally disagree. But saying that call is the Chiefs only won because of that call, that's not true. I mean, what that's doing is totally not holding your own team accountable for the mistakes that they made. But I know that we're not going to do that. We're not going to blame the guys that we love to put our hopes and our fandom into. Of course, we're going to blame the guys that we always hate, which is the officials. I completely get it. But mistakes are made across the board. The officiating crew, I mean, you're talking about a team versus a team, but I'm not saying it's team versus officials, but officials are part of your game day operation. They will always be a part of it. I know minor league baseball is trying electronic umpires and stuff. That's only going to be an element of it. You still have to have the human element out on the field. You're never, no matter how hard they try, are going to be able to totally eliminate the human element to this. I have no problem, like Kev has talked about, like, okay, we can't continue getting this C-level work from these officials. But I guess from the flip side, C-level work from officials, but what is a well-officiated game? And because is it, I look at the box score and, not a lot of penalties. Two teams played a clean game. I'll go check social media. Man, they were just letting them hold all day. They weren't calling anything. That's bad officiating. There's nothing in a box score to dictate whether or not a game was well officiated or not. It's all in the eye of the beholder, or the eye of the fan, I should say, of how that kind of works. Mike Greenberg on Greeny earlier today was asked about the perception of it. You talked about the gambling side, but he believes that I think that the rigged conversation is a little annoying. I don't think that these games are rigged in today's climate. For an event to be staged to this level, or for nothing to ever get, everything is leaked because everything has a price. And if I go to anyone and say, hey, I was just a part of a very interesting meeting with Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the National Football League, and you will never guess what he wants the officials to do. All right, TMZ, I'll tell you, but there's a price. Trust me, there's a price on everything. There is no way that these games are rigged. I can't buy into that. This was Mike Greenberg on Greeny earlier this afternoon.
Both those same things are true. These games were definitely not rigged.
They were badly officiated, and that is 100% true. And in particular, the AFC game, horribly officiated, and it felt, because it was, incredibly one-sided. That is 100% because of a bad job done by the officials, and 1,000% not because of bias, because if they wanted to determine the outcome, because the league did or the officials did or anybody else. They are human beings who did not have a good day at the office. But I will say, the fact that that is how people are reacting is a problem. If this doesn't make them address it, I don't know what will. Everything in sports has gotten better, and the officiating has gotten worse.
Well, we talked to a lot of members of the OHSAA. They're struggling to find people that want to officiate games. I know that's at the high school level, but if you think that that's not the case at the higher up level, I don't know what to tell you. Good officials. Okay, there are officials who are not. So there's the middle line officials, Kev, who are not that great of officials, but they are going to take any opportunity that comes their way.
Right.
And there are great opportunities coming their way because the experienced, solid officials are saying, yeah, I don't need to deal with this anymore. This is ridiculous. So they step out, and now opportunities are given to these mid-level officials. And then you're getting people. And by the way, this happens in our everyday line of work. You have people who are not credible or capable of doing certain jobs, but they are working these jobs because who else are you going to get to do it? And now that's creating a quality issue, the quality of work you're getting. And that's not just officiating. That's just everyday labor jobs to begin with, right? Well, hey, we don't really have a trained blah, blah, blah. So you're just going to have to pick up the slack. And that happens all over, the country in everyday work issues. So I think that's what's happening here. But Greeny brought up a point that you did and that Nick, the last caller, did, that, people could choose to tune out because they're not believing what they're watching is real. I don't believe that these games are rigged, Kev. But as Mike Greenberg just said, and he brings up a great point, there's no way these games are rigged, but it's a problem for the league if people actually think it is. So regardless of whether I think it's rigged or not, it doesn't matter. The point is people think it is, and thoughts in masses like this could be a detrimental thing to a product, even one that we think is as bulletproof as the NFL.
It's kind of like you say all the time, perception is reality.
Mm-hmm.
So if this upcoming Super Bowl ends in a controversial call, that's going to stain the sport, and it's going to have people looking at it crazy. I mean, shoot, obviously with legalized betting in the state of Ohio just coming to this year, if the Cincinnati Bengals were to go on and beat Kansas City yesterday and then go on to the Super Bowl and lose on a controversial call, all this money that everybody that's betting on the Cincinnati Bengals from Ohio, and when it just came legal, there will be hell to pay. People will be losing their mind. I mean, they're losing their mind right now, but think about all the payouts that will have to come from whatever app you're using on a Super Bowl type of situation. So my whole thing about C efforts and everything like that, the problem with getting a C effort from a referee is a C effort from a player gets you replaced. There's conversations about oh man, should the Dallas Cowboys go ahead and trade Dak Prescott for a second-round pick and hit the restart button? He's a B quarterback. You know what I'm saying? We're not even talking about a C quarterback. C quarterbacks get shipped out all the time. Look at Jimmy Garoppolo. They went on to trade for Trey Lance. Then they went and got Brock Purdy. C performances get you booted out left and right. So that's my thing. And that's the problem I think we all have if we take a step back is all right, we're all kind of upset with refereeing in all levels of sports, but we just don't know how to fix it ourselves. I don't have the answers, but we're not paid to have the answers. The commissioner and the league are paid to have the answers, because it's bad to have a fan base or an entire sports landscape looking at your sport funny, like what's going on here.
Yeah, and those who do believe that the sport is rigged, every Tuesday, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz joins us. He went on a little rant earlier today about people who think that the league is rigged. Take a listen.
Why is it not rigged? Because everybody says the officiating was so bad, it must be rigged. That is the stupidest take in the history of fandom. Why? Because we, the idiots that consume football, will watch football no matter who's playing. Guess what? Everybody will watch the Super Bowl no matter what two teams are in it. Mm-hmm. Everybody will watch the Super Bowl no matter who's playing, and everybody will watch the Super Bowl no matter how they got there. Why would the NFL rig a product when they don't need to? If you know that you can roll out the worst product possible and still get more viewers than anybody else anytime, anywhere, there is no monetary advantage to rigging anything. If you're going to take the risk of rigging something, it would be for benefit. There's no benefit. I just need people to hear that officials can suck without the league turning around and saying, well, this is what we need to do to get the right result. The league doesn't care because we're all dumb enough to watch no matter what they put in there.
That's valid. And keep in mind, too, you got to ask yourself, what was the league rigging last night? They want Patrick Mahomes there. Okay, you forced me this. So the strangeness of the fan base for the Bengals has absolutely forced me to compliment the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you realize that the Bengals in the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and this team, this team that talks a lot, this team that will get the attention that the Super Bowl needs as if it doesn't need it anymore. Do you not realize how silly it is to think that the NFL, that they don't want the Cincinnati, but this idea of the Bengals versus the league all season has just been embarrassing for some of you fans. Like, you guys got to quit it. Like, okay, with the NFL, they want Bills versus Chiefs. I don't see what the Bills Chiefs offer any more than what Chiefs Bengals offers. If anything, I think that the Bengals are the newer talking point. They have more value than any other team in the NFL right now because of Joe Burrow, because of the talent on this roster, because guess what? Burrow's about to be paid. The talent's going to come off this roster, and this team won't be as interesting here in the very near future. 9-10 win team competing for the division every year. They'll be good, but they'll be like the Bills are right now. Look at the Bills. Josh Allen, great quarterback. Stephon Diggs, complementary weapons on defense, but they don't have a lot of other options because they're kind of strapped for cash because everyone's paid. That's going to be the Bengals here in a couple years. So this idea that the NFL doesn't want this Bengals team, the most balanced roster in the NFL outside of the Eagles at this point, I have no clue why you guys live in that world thinking that the NFL doesn't want our team there. That doesn't make sense. Yes, they are totally happy that Patrick Mahomes is back in the Super Bowl, but they are not any more happy or sad if Joe Burrow would have been in the Super Bowl, because guess what? That's a great story too. The NBA, I could understand why people would say the NBA needs the stars in these certain situations. The thing is, do you realize that if the Jaguars, even if Huntley and the Ravens made a Super Bowl run, do you realize the Ravens, the NFL would still get a huge number? People watch the Super Bowl. People watch the playoffs. This is great football. I just think it's silly. I think it's weird. It's fandom, but it's silliness to think that the NFL doesn't want the Bengals to succeed. That doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. It's like Jason just said. Sometimes officials could just suck, and there's not an ulterior motive from the league as far as who they want to get to a certain spot in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And we talked about this before the show. I am slowly but surely going to the other side of, hey, man, refereeing can't be this bad. I used to be a person that firmly believed in, hey, man, bad calls are a part of the game. It's the human element. That's what kind of makes these things fun. But slowly but surely, I'm saying, like, all right, these human element, yes, but can we start holding people accountable for the bad calls?
Fair.
Like, what are we going to do here? Like, oh, man, they got an F grade. Sorry, you won't be doing the playoff games next year, but we got you week 1 through 18. Oh, like there has to be something done. And I think that's the other thing about it. We don't know, quote unquote, the penalties that are invoked on the referees for blown calls or messed up calls. But if a player like a Patrick Beverly walks on the court with a camera to upstage the referee, you best believe when his suspension or fine comes out, it's going to hit our phone in 5 seconds. So that's all we're looking for. I understand the 2-minute report and the transparency, but like, I'm not sure that's hitting the right note with fans.
And I don't think that there is a right answer. Like, we want something that's more transparent, but I still don't think that that's going to matter. For instance, Kev, we don't like when coaches are bad and we want our Matt Canada. With your opinion of Matt Canada.
Get him out of here.
Okay, let's say Matt Canada addresses the media. There's transparency from Matt Canada on how he believes an offense should be run and his thoughts on where the offense is trending. Do you believe after every time you hear him in the media, think, you know what? He's right. I'm so glad there was transparency. I want him back next year.
True.
So I used Matt Canada to kind of reference the one that you follow, but like, I think this idea that, officials meet in a press conference afterwards.
What is that actually going to prove? What is going to change?
Yeah, it's now a clip. Media outlets should want it because, man, that would be some great content.
True. I feel that.
And what they would all be? Yeah, my bad. I missed that call. All right, this is dumb because now we're just hearing the same thing over and over, right? Like, I don't know. But I do believe that if they're going to be on those big stages, they should have to face the same heat that the players do.
Yeah, Osai faced the music yesterday.
Yep. And again, I always ask too, what I guess the press clippings, officials' quotes will be added into stories and stuff, I guess. But like, as far as fixing the problem, interviewing the bad officials after the game isn't going to fix the officials out on the field. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But I do think that officials are banding together to the league saying, you're not putting us on a platform. You're not going to do this, because they have their own little
They
union,
have a union,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why there's a little give and take there. Hey, if you do this and you bash us even more, we will quit. Like, that's the thing too, is they have a little power. It's weird, but they have their own little power as well, as far as the leverage that they have over the league, which is quite interesting.
I know you know a couple referees in town, and they have their thing that they don't talk to me and everything like that. But I would love to hear a referee call into the show, because I got a million questions. How hard is this? Because you play intramural basketball before. I would hate to be somebody like that. So I understand it's got to be a hard job. I mean, people were ready to attack referees at intramural basketball. So I can only imagine what it's like at the college and professional level when there's a bad call or a call that you don't like happens out there. So I'm not saying that the referees' jobs is easy, but I would like to talk to a former referee. They can call in anonymous or whatever, because I do have questions like, how hard is it really? Explain to me how hard it is. Explain to me why this happens. Explain to me how you guys come to your little huddle and then come out with a reason or explanation of why X, Y, and Z happened. Those are just things I'm curious about.
Yep. And I will say, like, Bengals fans kept bringing up that Jamar Chase touchdown against the Bills last week, and people were bashing the officials for that. I'm like, okay, let's be clear. That's not the same thing, because that was actually the right call. You guys may not agree with it, but that was actually the right call. There's a difference between, I think that rule is horrendous, and I think this officiating is horrendous, because there are, like last night, you Bengals fans keep chalking up bad officiating to calling the foul on Osai when he shoved him out of bounds. That's not bad officiating. That's just a bad decision. That's the rule.
You can't hit somebody out of bounds. And the thing about the Jamar Chase touchdown against Buffalo, in the middle of the field, that's a catch. In the end zone, it's incomplete, which makes absolutely no sense, because when you're a runner and the ball crosses a plane, it's automatic touchdown.
Yep.
So what? It just makes no sense. So that would be my other question to a referee. Do you think there's too many rules? Because I think a lot of this stuff started because there's so many rules that go into a catch. There's so many rules that go into what is a fumble and what isn't, an empty hand versus a throwing hand, all this stuff. Like, it's just so many rules. And I think it's like information overload for the referees.
And how much, and good for them for memorizing all of that, by the way. Good for them for memorizing all of that. Let's go to Brian. Brian, how are you, my friend? Yeah, Brian, that's on me. My bad. Yep. Let's go to my friend, my good buddy, old pal, Mr. Shaw.
How you doing, brother?
Another day in paradise. What's going on?
It's about the officiating, and to kind of talk about what Kev was talking about. I do baseball. I can't compare umpiring high school baseball to doing the NFL or doing college, but we are held to a standard. We're not going to get fired or anything like that, but there is a standard you have to uphold in order to do varsity games and do JV games and so on and so forth. It's hard, but that's also what you're signing up for. But we can have that conversation at another time. Where I disagree with you, Justin, it's been atrocious, but it's the great thing about not being an NFL fan, as a team wise, so I can just sit back and watch the games and not really have fandom one way or the other. You can just watch the game. The officiating has been atrocious, and it's getting worse year by year.
And I'm not, and again, I know the thing when you call in, I interrupt and we argue. That's not what the purpose of this is. However, when I do hear people say things like that, I would like to know what that means. Like when you say that was a bad game compared to a good game, what is a good game?
A good game is when the officials are not the story.
But officials will always be a story in a game with a lot on the line. Like I promise you, I guarantee if the Super Bowl comes down to a possession game, we will be talking about officiating in some capacity. I can't think of many times where we're talking about close game. Ohio State in the playoff game against Georgia. That was a close game. Guess what we're talking about? Officiating. Guess what we didn't talk about in the national championship game, because that game was brutal. There were bad calls in that Georgia TCU game, but there wasn't anything on the line that the calls cost anyone anything. So it just wasn't a big deal.
But I guess that just makes me different. That's my point. Is
Okay.
I'm sitting here watching the games, saying officiating's bad, regardless if it's a close game or if it's a blowout. I was one that used to say the Big Ten had the worst officials, whether it was basketball or football. I was one that said the Big Ten had the worst officials in sports. Now I'm starting to believe it's the NFL and college football in general.
Wait till March Madness.
Kind of like last week. How's Jamar Chase's catch reviewed, but Devontae Smith's isn't? If we're going to have holding,
because the crazy thing about it is that's the other part. You're a big college football fan. In college football, technically every play is reviewed. In the NFL, not every play is reviewed. So
thank you.
You make a catch so Devontae Smith, if you rewatch it, he makes the quote unquote catch and he starts doing whatever signal they have for hurry up, let's run another play. I didn't catch it. So if it's Mike, and he starts screaming Mike, everybody knows what Mike means. Get to the line and we're just going to run a regular run play because I really didn't catch the ball. So it gives the upstairs people not enough time to look at it or not enough time to throw the flag. So the same sport is played by two different rules at different levels.
And you just went to my next point. I think something has to be done to where college and the NFL are under the same rules. Because so many times people watch an NFL game and they're viewing the official call as if it was a college football game. And what people aren't understanding are those intricacies and those tiny calls are different between the two sports.
But which sport, to be fair to that though, so the NFL would need college football to have a universal set of rules, but like college would be, or the NCAA would be like, yeah, NFL, you need that, but we're good. We're good. Like, for instance, I think it's straight. The NBA is 4 quarters. College basketball is 2 halves. In fact, college basketball is the only level of basketball in the world.
Women's basketball is played in quarters.
Yeah, it's strange. Right. But I know what you're saying, but I don't see how there's a benefit. I mean, because everything has to matter to somebody. And college, they're like, well, we don't really care. It hasn't. The rules in NFL haven't impacted us. We're doing our own thing.
The only thing about college football that and my wife is a big football fan. The only rule that I have to remind her about is the clock on the first down stops in college football. And I understand that because they're not professionals and they don't practice this every single day, all day, nonstop. There are practice limitations and all that type of stuff. They're supposed to go to class, all that stuff. So I don't have a big problem with the clock stopping on first downs, mainly because most of the time it helps out Ohio State.
I think it's like when you receive a pass and you hit the ground. In college, you're down, but in the NFL, you're not down until someone hits you down. That's the one that drives me nuts more than anything else. But
the grounding's different too.
Yeah, Shaw, we have about a minute left, so close it out.
I'm tired of, quite honestly, if you really want me to go to one generic thing and take it completely away, I take instant replay away. Because that's where all the extra rules came from. That's where all the misclarity came from. That's where where we didn't learn what a catch, where we don't know what a catch is. Regardless of where it's at on the field. Get rid of instant replay. This gets improved so much better. Sorry.
No problem. No, see, the problem with that is because I used to think like that, and I was having a conversation with my buddy. He's like, you can't get rid of instant replay because we have instant replay at home. There's more people watching the game at home than in the stadium. So if we have instant replay of every which angle and they don't have it in the stadium, it's going to cause more chaos. It's going to cause more. So you have to have instant replay.
That doesn't improve officiating, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Fact,
it doesn't.
That's like
it makes more armchair referees.
Yeah. And what if you want to argue that we need to improve instant replay, fine.
Yeah.
That's something that they've messed up that I'm like, I don't get it. Because
hockey does, man.
My wife doesn't care about sports a whole hell of a lot, but we'll be watching the game and she'll be like, what are they reviewing? And I'll tell her, and she goes, well, it's. And then 10 minutes later, they're still in there with that. I'm like, hey, my wife, who doesn't follow sports at all, just saw what you were observing. And yet somehow you're not seeing that. And then you come out with a totally different, but nonetheless.
Hockey and baseball, they have a third party in their home office watching each and every game. And that's their one job. Their one job is simply to review and say, hey, this is X, Y, and Z. They take it out of the referee's hands. So I think that's what they should do. Referees call what you see on the field. There's a eye in the sky, so to speak, and they buzz you like, nope, didn't catch it. And that'll be that.
Let's see. Scott Campbell on YouTube. He goes, well, it could be worse for the NFL. They could have the worst MLB umpire ever on the field, Angel Hernandez. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, you say the worst MLB umpire in baseball, Angel Hernandez. The best umpire is who? That's what I'm trying to, like, I'm not trying to constantly argue with everyone. My point, though, is like, this is
that's the point. Should we know referees' names? Like, these guys should be anonymous. Because, like, what's the referee that always loses when Chris Paul plays? They lose all the time.
There was Teddy Valentine, who
Teddy
was
is
the
an
TV
ACC
Teddy.
referee that
I played basketball at the Lake campus. He did a few of our games.
Really?
That was always a big, interesting thing when he would come around. He would do some of these smaller. It doesn't make any sense. There was a guy named, I think his name was Trout. I can't remember Trout's first name, but he was, he's a high school level official that does some college that thinks he's a star as well. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. But yeah,
the block charge.
Yeah.
Hey, March
this guy's very pretty. He doesn't sweat. And he runs super fast. He doesn't sweat, but his hair is perfect. Like he's very, Mr. He's that. So whatever. 518-1410. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash. I see phone lines are still full. Some are called. Actually, no, we have one line that's ringing now that we'll get to here in just a second. But appreciate the input on this. My whole thing is with officiating is we scream about, we shouldn't know who the officials are, but I don't think that'll ever be possible. Every call, you understand, a pass interference call in a tie game like last night, if it's 20-20 pass interference and it's pass interference, I don't need to make up a scenario. Last night's a prime example. Joseph Asai shoved him out of bounds, and that was still being criticized by amongst fans about the official. Like, I just think it's the level of the game with everything on the line that makes or breaks it. But then when you have the really bad stuff, it's hard to defend that. That's for sure. I tell you what, we'll take more of your calls, more of your Facebook reaction on the other side. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be cloudy with a wintry mix, a high near 32. Tonight's going to be cloudy and cold, a low near 18. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy and cold, a high near 28. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Make the big game sound even bigger with your new TV and sound system from Audio Etc. There is nothing better than a home theater or high-fidelity music system from Audio Etc. 4K is amazing, but just imagine the 8K experience. Come to Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom today and experience 8K TVs and projectors, short throw projectors from 100-inch to 130-inch, all the way to your high-end dream system. Audio Etc has tons of new inventory in stock, while everybody else is back-ordered or out of stock. Get special deals on a TV and your dream system today. Audio Etc can bring any big game home. It's better than being there. You have to see it to believe the incredible quality of the picture and sound. If you can't afford your dream system, check out our huge selection of vintage and pre-owned components. Audio Etc, powered by Klipsch, Bowers & Wilkins, SVS, Marantz, Denon, Sony, and a whole list of high-performance brands that you've probably never heard of. 551 Congress Park Drive in Centerville.
Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom.
Need to update your furniture? Menards has the furniture you need in stock. Plus, you get a free rug. That's right. Buy any upholstered living room furniture at $299 or more and get a free 5x7 area rug. That's $149.99 in savings. Need a new chair? How about a sectional, a new recliner, or love seat? Buy one today, get a free rug. Hurry up. Get to Menards before they're gone. In-store only while supplies last.
Save big money at Menards.
Hottest ticket in town. On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own Jon Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone loves The Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jay, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live. Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You just bought a home in the suburbs, but no one told you about all the birds, specifically this one, who seems to be calling out Roy. Roy. But who exactly is Roy? And why doesn't he ever respond? Maybe Roy is just bird speak for save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. I guess until Roy answers, we'll never know. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Guys, fellas, men, are you Roman ready for Valentine's Day? Right now, generic Viagra, aka Sildenafil, is just $4 per dose at Roman. Just complete a free online visit with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional. If medication is appropriate, Roman sends everything right to your door with free shipping and in discreet packaging. Go to ro.co/Viagra to get generic Viagra for just $4 per dose. Do it by February 8th for 20% off and guaranteed shipping by Valentine's Day. That's ro.co/Viagra.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
We are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here at 1410 ESPN Radio. Well, you know, the fact that it's, 2 hours into the show and I've only played it once.
Whoa! Burrow had my ass! Whoa!
I mean,
it's Mahomes' house!
like, come on. I know we're on two different sides of the trash talk thing. It's not like I'm against trash talk. I'm just saying, like, you know, and by the way, had they won last night, I wouldn't be like, okay, I was wrong. They shouldn't have trash talk. No, when I say, hey, be careful with the trash talk, when I say be careful with the trash talk, it's for situations like this. I think the Bengals are looking pretty. I've listened to shows all day, watched shows all day. I mean, they are just getting poked at all day long. Now, Kevin, I know you said you think that they would have been poked at no matter what. What they're being poked at for is like through the Travis Kelce, like the mayor stepping in it and all this stuff. Like, and by the way, I don't know how I feel. The mayor doing that didn't necessarily bother me. He just made it weird and creepy. And I know what he was trying to do. Like, maybe trying to like kind of relate to the younger crowd and trying to like speak their language and like, oh, like I own you, I'm your dad, blah, blah, blah. Like just weird stuff. I don't know. Like,
I guess we've transitioned away from we're going to bet a tub of Skyline chili versus some Kansas City barbecue on the winner. I guess we've transitioned past that we're going straight to smack talk. Mayors, governors out there, stick to the script. Do the same old normal stuff. Don't try to jump into a world that you're not ready for because you sound stupid, most importantly. And now when your team loses, you gotta take it.
Now when I was poking fun at it, I'm like, well, maybe I'm just because of my haterade and all that stuff. Maybe that's what. No, like when Fox News and CNN and national news outlets were picking this up and roasting this guy before the game, because I was like, well, it'll be fine if they win. No, he was getting roasted before. So that's how I knew, because it was weird. Like, you take that out of it. Okay, I'm pronouncing today. You got to play us day. And that still would have been slightly poking the bear, but that would have been more of a respectful way. But you brought up I mean, again, does he really talk about his dad stuff? No. do I think it's that big a deal? But it added to what was already a very strange week with guys good and average in the organization just chirping. And as I said, I defended the fans last week. So the fans aren't allowed to have fun. No, that's what you're supposed. Fans are supposed to talk smack like that. That's the thing. I don't come across it often where the athletes are the ones jawing as much as what we saw last week. And I'm arguing two different things. I'm not arguing it's wrong. All I'm arguing is just be careful, because I predicted 2 weeks ago. I said the Bengals are about to be the most disliked team in football. I don't think we're that far off from it. Everyone said you're just being a hater. I'm not saying they're the most disliked team in football right now, but people are enjoying watching them lose because they kind of ate it. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
It's also like a maturity thing. We got to think also another reason why maybe this Andy Reid team isn't trash talking like that. They're a little bit older team.
Yep.
Especially on the offensive side of the ball. Andy Reid's been coaching quite a while. I mean, I can't even remember. He's been with Kansas City for almost like 7 years. He's been with the Eagles. He was their head coach for 10 years. So, he's a lifer. Now, Coach Taylor, this is year 5? So I don't even think Coach Taylor is in 40 years old yet, is he?
No. And so you bring up the maturity thing too. So I went back. I was like, well, hold on. Let me check here. I'm saying, hey, the Chiefs, they're a mature team. And yet, they're mature because they've been here. This is their 5th straight trip to the AFC Championship game. Is the Bengals second. And there's a lot of similarities. Well, there's not a lot of similarities because the Chiefs were like a flatline team. They were a playoff team. They were good. They were getting to the playoffs, winning the wild card, get out, knock down the divisional round with Alex Smith. They weren't anything special. They were just a solid playoff contender. Patrick Mahomes comes in, and then they take off. He wins MVP in his first full year as a starter. They go to the AFC Championship game, host it, have a chance to knock out Tom Brady, and Tom Brady comes out on top. That's super. The second year, right? He wins MVP. He goes on, he doesn't win the MVP he goes on to win the Super Bowl MVP. And then that third year was the COVID year. Then the fourth year, they got knocked out by Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And then the fifth year, they beat the Bengals and get back. So I went back and I wanted to make sure there was no reports. I was texting Jason Fitz earlier today. I was like, help me out just so I don't step in it myself. Was there ever stuff coming out of Kansas City where Joe Burrow or where Patrick Mahomes was, where not so much himself, but where people were saying he's better than Tom Brady? He said, no, that not so much with the fans, yes, but there was no clippings. There's no press clippings. So at ESPN, they have like a little database to go back and find previous headlines and stuff. So he was helping me out trying to look at stuff like that. No, none of that came about. Not saying you can't find proof or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't remember the Chiefs going through this immaturity stage. But again, they're a better organization. Like, you could take that as a shot, if you will, but that's just the reality of it. When they say act like you've been there before, being there last year doesn't count as, well, we have been there before. No, because this is all new. The thing about the Chiefs too, where they're at in this stage, Kev, is they're also in the stage where they're past the rookie contract stage. They're deep into the Patrick Mahomes contract, and they've had to lose a lot of talent. I was watching Ward, the cornerback for the 49ers. They definitely, the Chiefs, they had to say goodbye to him. They couldn't afford to give him an extension because of the money that's going to the quarterback, and they took care of their defensive line, which, by the way, why'd they win yesterday? Their quarterback, their offensive line, and their defensive line. And that's something that the Bengals had. There's not one way to do it, but the Chiefs won yesterday because they were better at, quarterback, offensive line, and defensive line. They were okay in everywhere else. And that the Bengals are going to get to that point at some point too. But no, Harry Douglas on Fitz and Harry a little bit ago had this to say about the players, just kind of, how much of an impact. Because Shaw said the other day, that has zero impact on games. Well, here's what Harry Douglas had to say about trash talking and what it does to motivate an opponent.
Those players remember everything. You think Chris Jones was out there balling just for the sake of balling? No. You do it for pride. You do it for your team. You do it to advance. But also, he heard all that noise, and he didn't like the disrespect as well.
And that's why in those post games and everything. Now, that was obviously the defensive lineman, but of course, Kelsey talked about the mayor a little bit ago.
Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. You gotta fight for your right to party.
Good for Kelsey. Good for the Chiefs. Bad for the Bengals. But the thing is, last thing on the Bengals, Kev, they're going nowhere. They're going to have another year. They have another 1 to 2 year window of at least having a solid roster, of a deeper roster. This is a cap or no cap a lot earlier in the week than we do, but we'll repeat it on Friday during cap or no cap. But cap or no cap, this was the most talented roster Joe Burrow will ever play on moving forward.
Cap. I think
That's
the young talent like Cam Taylor-Britt will get better. Dax Hill will be back. More improved. I think they'll be more improved next season. Now, next season.
So you're saying not this 2023?
Yeah, this coming fall. Yep. I think this would be the best team that the Cincinnati Bengals.
2 years seasoned. And all that. Now they have a lot of decisions to make, with Joe Mixon, T. Higgins contract. He's heading into a contract year. Mixon, it's like, okay, you got a lot of money invested in him. They're going to be working out that contract with Joe Burrow. Ben Baby, who covers the Cincinnati Bengals for ESPN. Here's what he had to say about the Cincinnati Bengals and their offseason ahead. We're not focusing too much on this a lot right now. Just a brief conversation. We'll get back to your calls. Here's ESPN's Ben Baby on kind of what made last night's loss so tough, because the future for the Bengals roster is a little unknown.
I think that's the big question moving forward. And, a lot of the guys everybody's still up in the air. I have Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's a prime example. The guy who's got a year left on his deal, but the way that his contract is structured, the Bengals save a lot of money in cap space if they decide to move on from him. And he's aware of that. And, T. Higgins is aware of kind of what lies ahead of him. Everybody knows that the cap structure on the team is going to change significantly whenever Joe Burrow gets his extension, which you imagine will be the top priority for Cincinnati moving forward. But, there's just a lot of unknowns. You felt that in the locker room, and you felt that finality of the season, knowing that, this was a very close-knit team.
Yeah, again, a close-knit team. They were there. They had the opportunity. And there's a part of me that believes this is going to be the most talented team that he plays on, because although other guys will improve at certain positions, when's the next time you're going to have a very, very good pass rush with a very, very good secondary, very, very good linebacker play, and T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, and then obviously P. Ryan. So again, but I could be wrong. Again, teams figure it out. There's going to be some surprise moves of guys leaving, and then the Bengals could get someone in the offseason. I'm like, oh, damn, that stinks. Like for me as a Browns fan, for you as a Steelers fan. I maybe not the best roster, but the deepest roster. This might be the deepest roster he plays on moving forward. But I am like, and that, I think of Amari Cooper when he was talking about Tyler Boyd right there, where it's not that like the Cowboys needed to move on from Amari Cooper, but it was going to be it was going to save them a lot of cap space if they moved on from him at that exact moment. Boyd's going to be a decision maker. Mixon will be that same type of guy. Obviously, the safety, why am I drawing a blank on his name? We talked about Jesse Bates. Like, they're going to be close to about $40 million cap space heading in, but a lot of that, sometimes teams don't always spend all of it. The Browns didn't last year. They wanted to roll that over because they kind of had an idea that this year was going to be a coin flip year because you didn't know how many games you were going to get Deshaun Watson for. So they were able to carry a lot of that cap space over into this offseason. Can't tell you how many times I get from Bengals fans. Well, the Browns have no draft picks and they have no cap room. Not with that quarterback. They're going to restructure that deal. They're going to have about close to 30 to 40 million cap space. The Browns are going to be able to add some key weapons too. But their window is a lot tighter than the Bengals. The Bengals still have another 2 to 3 years of having to have the flexibility to move that roster. We've talked about a lot of different things. Phone lines are open. Kev, who's up next?
We have Brian, line one.
Brian, what's up, sir? Welcome.
Hey, guys. So I just wanted to say, Justin, your comments before probably mirror what I was going to say is, I think the Bengals got what they deserved. Over the coming weeks, or the past few weeks, man, that trash talk's been ramping up. It started with Mixon, and we're the big dogs now. Joe Burrow piled on with my windows open whenever I'm on the field. You got Burrowhead. You got Eli Apple tweeting at Stephon Diggs after the game. Yeah, so it's just been coming, man. And then the mayor lit gasoline, put gasoline all over it, and lit that too. They did. They became the most unlikable team that there ever was. So I'm glad. How does that knife to the heart feel, Cincinnati? There's your 13 seconds. How does it feel?
Ooh. Man, Brian came in. He came in with the heat.
You're not a Bengals fan.
Who's your team, Brian?
I'm suffered with the Bills. So
Bill. Now it makes yes. So, but you experienced the Bengals fan base. By the way, they were great with you guys during that. And by the way, I'm not saying that was fake. That was a no brainer. I mean, everyone was going to come together for that. But once that kind of everyone moved on from that, it was like, no, screw you. We're the Bengals. We're this. We're that, and rightfully so. But I mean, so you're a Bills fan. Was there a cocky stage of your team throughout the Josh Allen kind of come up, if you will? It's fine if so. I'm not mad at Bengals fans for this. I'm just pointing it out.
No, I would say 2019 for sure not. Like when Allen started to get good, that you had the Cowboys Thanksgiving game. At that point, there's no way you're coming off of 17 years and no playoffs, and you were just cocky. 2020 was kind of surprising. Like, he took another big leap, and then you had this great offense. I would say the most would have been 2021 when they got real red hot. They had smoked the Patriots finally. They eviscerated them. That was kind of their year. And 13 seconds just ground that plane to a halt. So I don't think this year it ever really got off the ground the same way. I would have said 2021 is the highest the fan base felt, because rolling in after 47-17 on the Patriots, and then Allen played the way he did in the 13 seconds game, that's the one where you thought you had it won. You thought you were going to the AFC Championship game in Buffalo, Cincinnati coming to your house. And I would say that's about the highest it got. But I don't know that we're the biggest trash-talking fan base there is. You got. I mean, we're rooted in 4 Super Bowl losses. There's not a lot to point to say like we're amazing.
Well,
we're
real
happy
quick,
that Allen's
and that's
as good as he is.
Brian, that's a good point. But my other point was, I guess I don't mind when fans do it. I just thought, and you always have a player or two on each roster that's going to be the kind of the vocal leader, to kind of put some stuff out there. But I thought that the Bengals were coming at it in all angles. You had the coaches and you had the players and the fans and then the mayor. It was just, it was a lot at one time. But hey, you know what? That cockiness and confidence is what fueled them. But they haven't experienced what it's like to kind of hit a bump in the road. Now they have, and we'll see. This will be a growing game for them. I know you don't really care about that, but it is interesting seeing where they're at right now.
Well, I studied a lot of their team leading up into that game, and I just think the fans got real cocky on all sorts of social media and on message boards and whatnot. And then you saw it. You're driving into Dayton. There's a big billboard on the way into downtown. Next stop, Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, you just kind of started to overlook the Chiefs. I had coworkers at work. Who's going to beat us? Who's going to beat us now? We got past the Bills. You got 2 to go. Okay. I mean, and so, you know what? I'm glad it happened to you. I'm glad you got kicked in the neck. Feels good, doesn't it?
Brian, I promise fans, I don't know Brian. He seems like an awesome dude, but Brian, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
I cut him off. My bad, dude. I don't know Brian. I did not set that up, just to be clear. But nonetheless, that's my point. Just saying, rubbing other fan bases the wrong way. And by the way, you know what your guys' reaction should be? Kick rocks. Who cares? That's just how I mean, as a Browns fan, I say that to you guys all the time. Kick rocks. I don't care what you guys think of me and my team. I'm going to be cocky about my team, just like you are about yours. Y'all are better than me, though, because your damn team been back-to-back AFC championships. I would love to be a part of one someday.
Good luck.
Nonetheless. Kev, who's up?
Good luck. We got CJ line 2.
What up, CJ? How are you? Welcome.
I'm doing good. Hey, Kevin asked about an official. I've officiated for years.
Yes. Nice. Perfect. Yes. Thank you. Welcome. What level, sir?
Now, mine was wrestling, not wrestling.
No, the real stuff, right? Not the chairs to the back.
Well, not the stage stuff, as you guys said earlier.
Hey, now, come on. I'm telling you, it's real. We have John Moxley on the show tomorrow, and Tony Khan's coming on again. They've told me it's not fake. They told me it's real.
There is stage to it, but I'm not going to disagree with them. Those guys jumping and landing on the ground from 15 feet in the air, those guys take a beating, and they're doing it, like 300 days a year. So those guys are athletes. I'm not going to question anything that they say. I mean, you got Brock Lesnar, who was a national champion for Minnesota. That's for wrestling. He's in the big time wrestling stuff. So
no kidding.
I'm not going to question that.
But no, I'm just giving you a hard time. But no, I'm curious your thoughts. Again, we were, because a lot of times, especially as with being an official, there,
you don't do do-overs. You don't do do-overs.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a clock thing. They just let the clock go off. They fix the clock and move on to the next play. You don't give the player, you don't give them another chance. I mean, you just don't do do-overs. That right there is where the officials, I think, made a mistake. Shaw, you can't get rid of instant replay. There's too much. I mean, too many people see the bad plays. But what happens is in the off season, those guys are going to review everything. The thing I think that hurts officiating when it gets to the playoffs is that they try to mix it and try to put the best officials together. You're a team. I mean, when I would officiate, I would always have the same guy I would always officiate with. I knew where I was going. I knew where he was going. I would be looking at a different thing. We would talk about it, going into a match. We would know what the other guy's looking for, and I'd be looking for other things so that we could call and make sure we're calling it right. And that was the biggest thing. And yeah, you do hold the call sometimes. That you got to hold that, blowing that whistle, and you do try to make the makeup call if you screwed up. But as an official, they do. I mean, I did this. We would sit in the room and we would be talking about it weekly. We'd have meetings weekly.
You said just wrestling, right? Did you do other sports? If you said that, I apologize.
I just did wrestling.
Just wrestling. But you're just saying with what you've talked about with friends who are in the officiating business.
No. I mean, even the football guys. We'd have officials that were officiated football. They had their crew that they officiated with every game.
Yep.
They were in the same 4 or 5 guys. They officiated together. They knew what they were going to do, and each one of them was looking for something different so that they didn't miss something. And so that I think has a lot to do is when you get to the playoffs, these guys aren't the same crews. It's the best is what they always say. And I mean, I've seen the state championship and the national championship in wrestling where you've had guys that hadn't really officiated together and they blow calls. And it's like, oh God, and you don't want to be the official that everybody knows their name.
You know what, CJ? I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point. As rough as I am and other people are on officials, nobody, especially the officials, wants to make a bad call. It's not intentional. No. It's a mistake. So I think that's very important for people to know, like, hey, man, they messed up. It's a mess up, and people are allowed to mess up. I think it's just the ramifications. And, week 1, I check in. Week 2, and further the season goes along, more people check in on these games. And then when it comes to the AFC and NFC championship game and, the Super Bowl, everybody's watching. And I just think now that gambling, and especially us here in Ohio with gambling being legalized, it just heightens everybody's awareness about what's going on with officiating. And then nonetheless, you got a team that's vying for their spot to go to the Super Bowl right in our backyard. It's just everybody's awareness is on 10.
Yep.
It's not just that. I mean, you had the Ohio State game and the Michigan game. Both of those games, those were helmet to helmet hits. Those were true classic calls, what they should call it, and they don't call it. And that right there is what. Make the call. I mean, you take out the best player from Alabama for the last 5 minutes of games like they did to the Ohio State team. I mean, when what's the name of the receiver that got knocked out?
Harrison Jr.
When Harrison got taken out the last 5 minutes of that game, it totally changed the game. And it was a helmet-to-helmet call that they didn't call. That right there, and it was reviewed. And how people say that they don't review it, and you go and they talk about, it's different. How is it different? Bosa did the same thing and got kicked out of the game. I don't understand how at that time, but it's tough to make those calls. But when you're reviewing it, you got to make the right call.
Right.
And
I think that's the biggest part. What you were talking about and Shaw was talking about, like with reviews.
CJ, thank you.
With reviews, you're expecting to fix the wrong. That's why it's called a review. So it's been so many times that, all right, if the review happens and they still get it wrong.
That's why when Shaw said to get rid of instant replay earlier, I'm like, I don't think that instant replay, the intent of instant replay is what I'll always agree with. What it was originally designed for was to at least give officials opportunities throughout games, especially in big leverage moments, like the high leverage moments, like the big moments of games. It was supposed to be to clear up stuff in those big moments, because you don't want a missed call or a bad call or whatever to cost a team a championship or a big opportunity, whatever. But when we're still getting things wrong in these instant replays, that's the problem. So I don't think the answer is get rid of instant replay. I think the answer is just do it right. Like, I don't know, but we have time for another one, Kev. Let's do one more. Who's up?
Packers fan Tim.
Packers fan Tim, how are you, sir?
Hey, good. Hey, you know what, Justin? I agree with you about the Chiefs. Getting to the AFC Championship game is not, that's just typical business for them, So I think they wouldn't trash talk just because it's like, trash talk a regular season game kind of a thing. They've been there. They're there every year. Refereeing, I think, 20 years ago, I think they were all part-timers. Now they have part-time guys, I think full-time. I think they have to have all full-time. See, a lot of these guys, in fact, there was a ref from Kettering who was also a judge, really nice guy. Unfortunately, he's died a few years back. But, he was a local judge. He was an attorney, then he was a judge. That's what he did. And not that this was a hobby, but they got paid pretty well. But my thing is, he wasn't watching film 6 days a week or something. Make these full-time jobs and pay him a few $1 million. If you can pay Roger Goodell 60 or 70 million a year, and I know they'd be making more than some players, but they have a bigger outcome in the game than the guys that aren't getting in the game. So, and then reward them, have different tiers, pay them really well, and then hold them accountable, cut their pay, things like that. I think you'd be able to get good guys, hey, make a couple $1 million as a referee. And I don't know what they're getting paid now, but I think 20 years ago, I think it was 118,000 or 128,000 a year or something, which for a weekend job. But
sign me up,
man, that's 20 years ago. I'm sure they're making a lot more, like players are. But I think having full-time guys where they were employees and they have to work and watch film. They're not just working Sundays and doing a little traveling. They're taking quizzes and tests and doing all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be better. And I think what Bengal fans are mad about, not so much about that call at the end, that shove of Mahomes, but the fact that they didn't call that when that linebacker, he took 3 steps and he knocked Burrow on his ass after Burrow, had released the ball. And that would have added 15 yards onto that reception. And that would have had a big effect on the game. I'm not sure, but I think that's when they kicked a field goal, later on that possession.
Tim, let me ask you this, and Kev, I want your opinion too. Refs are not robots. They are people as well. And I talked earlier, and again, people don't like when I keep bringing this up, but the Bengals, in my opinion, are becoming an unlikable team. And I'm not saying that that's why they did not get calls, but you do have to wonder at times, that the Bengals, who were the most they were the most disciplined team in football last year. They did not have penalties. They were so disciplined. They did not make mistakes. They were one of the least, if not the least penalized team in football. And they were like that throughout the regular season as well. But during this playoff run, it's been a little bit different. I'm not saying it's the persona change of the organization with the players, but, Burrow was not you're right. It was Greeny said on his show today, it was one-sided. I don't believe that it's rigged or anything like that, but one-sided, I'll agree with. It was a lot of one-sided calls for the Chiefs. Burrow was getting knocked around more than what we're accustomed to seeing. But am I wrong? And maybe just throwing out there that, hey, you were the lovable team last year. You're not as lovable right now. Could that play a role in it? I'm a Browns fan. There are times where sometimes I'm like, yeah, let me tell you this. As a Browns fan, I've gone to multiple Browns games this week, and I sit amongst Browns fan strangers. And you want to know what one of the most common things that are said, that we're not going to get that call. And that's like Browns fans have this thing engraved into we're the Browns. We're not going to get that call. Now, I always say that's just a crybaby excuse for, just making up excuses for your team being undisciplined. But there are times where I see the Browns not get calls, like with Myles Garrett and others, where I'm like, what the heck? We're not going to get that call. Are we entering that stage with the Bengals?
Go ahead, Tim.
Well, you know what? I think there's something to that, Justin. I'm just saying that because, I watched that game yesterday without much passion. There's reasons I'd be happy for either team winning.
Yep.
But I just know that Aaron Rodgers has gotten calls and Tom Brady's gotten calls, not right away early in their career because it's Aaron Rodgers. It's Tom Brady. I think maybe Mahomes. And I think if you ever notice how those guys are with the referees. And, I know you're roughing the thing, but hey, that's Aaron Rodgers before the game talking about your family or do something like that, and hey, there's a picture, for your kid or something. So I think those guys have gotten calls that I don't think it's so much they're calling against somebody intention, but I think there might be a little bit of bias, and I could be completely wrong about that.
No, you're right. You're fine. I'm just throwing it out there.
Guys, yeah, no, I think there could be something. I don't know if the Bengals, because, hey, these guys are, too cocky. But, you don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Kevin?
I would love to think that the human element doesn't translate into that part of the game.
Yep.
But we'll be foolish to think it wouldn't, because everybody's human. I hope that it's not. But me being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, or anybody out there that has played against the New England Patriots in the playoff, it just seems like they always get the close call. It's just, I brought this up a couple weeks ago about the Jesse James touchdown against the New England Patriots a couple years ago, where he scored a touchdown and they said he fumbled, and it was just like, what? But that type of thing only happens with the New England Patriots. And then on the flip side, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, it's kind of like older Pittsburgh Steelers fans will remember this, the Immaculate Reception. Of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers would get that call. Like, it kind of goes both ways. It seems like whatever the team of the moment or team of that's building their dynasty starts to get those calls. Maybe it's something with the refs, maybe it's something in the universe, maybe it's something with the football guys, but most of the time, the best players get the calls.
Yep.
And I mean, this translates to basketball as well. Like, there's no reason to wonder why LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant are guys that went to the free throw line the most. It's hard to guard them. You can't guard them without fouling them. So it's kind of like one of those situations where you try so hard to get after the Mahomes all game long, and you finally got your chance. Yeah, he's close. I got to get him. And then boom, he's out of bounds. No, 15 yards closer. Oh my goodness, I just lost the game for my team.
And that's what that was like. Sometimes instinct plays a role, and sometimes they're not good instincts. And that's what, like, Osai last night, like, it's not that he was, and by the way, I don't like when people blame Zach Taylor for Osai. That's on coaching. I'm like, no, I totally, I disagree with that. Look, anytime I could find a way to spin something into taking a shot at the Bengals, you know me, I'm going to find a way. But I've heard Zach Taylor, he didn't have his team ready to play.
What?
I know, like,
they were playing the Chiefs, man.
That Osai thing on the sideline, like, I think, I mean, again, it's 22, 23 years old. I just not saying instinct as in like he didn't mean to do it, but like sometimes like you're moving so fast and you see him, and at the time that your head is saying, all right, hit him now, by the time you reach out to hit him, he's already out about. I don't know. I can't put myself in that situation. Look at me being a big time athlete and all, but nonetheless, I don't truly believe that that's the case, Kev, with officials. But I think sometimes officials, though, these are the unwritten. I'm going to kill the music.
I think it's more of a basketball thing,
because I was just going to transition to that, but I think it could exist in football to a certain extent, because I hear this all the time. Oh, freshmen aren't going to get that call. That pisses me off, because I'm like, no. A foul's a foul. What do you mean a freshman's not going to get that call? College basketball has a lot of freshmen playing because it's a young sport right now. So don't tell me freshmen aren't going to get that call. You either get the call or not. The NBA, I hear it all the time. Oh, well, LeBron's going to get calls that others don't. Obviously not. But by the way, I also blame LeBron for why he didn't get that call. You want to know why this flop initiation thing is taken off in the NBA? It's because of him. So you can't be I'm not defending the referees here. All I'm saying is they watch film and they scout these players as well. Not that they need to watch a lot of film on LeBron. It's LeBron. But LeBron's reputation in the league of being a flopper, that can work against you at times. So while he's trying to be the victim in this, and I do think he's the player that, yes, should garner the most attention for this kind of non-call, because that's how you're going to initiate change. I get that. I blame him for that too. And I think that habits of players, and I think that reputations of players and teams play a role. And sometimes, like the Browns, they're not a liked organization. They're not a liked team. I believe Brown says, we're not going to get that call. Now, I'm not blaming officials. You know me. I don't blame officials for when my team loses. It is what it is. But the Browns aren't liked. I think the Bengals are getting close to that. That when they have that entitlement thing, like the athletes, I'm sure they're yelling at the refs. That's that's pass interference, ref. They're yelling at the ref. I think they're like, who are you to tell me how to do my job? Patrick Mahomes can. He's a 2-time MVP. He's about to go to his 3rd Super Bowl. Joey B, what have you done? You lost your Super Bowl. You can't even get back to the Super Bowl. All I'm saying
make sure you don't.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure you don't. So I think that, all I know is the human element of the officials hearing things throughout the week, watching things too. I'm not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying that that's actually a thing. I don't know. I mean, these officials aren't robots.
Right.
The human element exists, and bias exists, whether they say it does or not. But you can't get rid of it. You can't control bias.
Yeah, I think the NFL thing is more on the up and up, and you got just bad calls, and it's just like so much going on. I mean, what is it, like 3 or 4 refs on the field, looking at 22 different players, watching the clock, watching a million different things like that. But in the NBA and especially college basketball, these refs in college basketball and in the NBA are names onto themselves.
Yep.
Like, they are big time. They're big time names, like you said, TV Teddy and all these other guys that referee basketball games. Whenever a certain official is announced in the lineup, they change betting lines because the way a crew officiates a basketball game. So I think it's more prevalent that grudges are held in basketball because there's so many games. There's 82 games. You could have one team like 3 times in 1 week. You built up animosity with him on Monday about a no call. Oh, I'm gonna tell him on Wednesday. Boom, you looked at him wrong. Technical foul. Like it. I think it's more
Pat
prevalent.
Beverly, the Meta World Pieces of the world.
Yeah.
The guys. I mean, I don't know why I use Meta World Peace, but that's a good example. But Draymond Green. He's even acknowledged in his podcast, hey, yeah, I have a reputation.
Dylan Brooks.
That, so he's gotten teed or tossed for things that aren't as big a deal if others do it, but he's on a short leash because, hey, some referees go into it. In their head, he already has his warning. So they're ready to toss him right when they're heading in to a lot of these. How about this? The Denver Broncos, they just got denied by another big name that they were hoping to land as their head coach. A year ago, if you would have told me that the Denver Broncos, after landing Russell Wilson, would be a head coaching vacancy that even the biggest names in football don't want, I would have said that's not true. There's no way. The Denver Broncos were just told by a big-time name that they were going hard after. Their third number one choice has, rejected them. We'll talk about that next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Positively Perfect Pet Grooming and Self-Bathe reminds everyone that February is National Spay and Neuter Month. Shelters are overflowing with unwanted pets. Help reduce this problem by having your pet spayed and neutered. This message from Positively Perfect Pet Grooming and Self-Bathe at 8960 Kings Ridge Drive, Dayton's finest all-breed dog and cat grooming. They also offer in-house tubs for your use, and they provide the supplies. Call 937-867-2887. Visit them online or on Facebook. That's 937-867-2887 for Positively Perfect Pet Grooming and Self-Bathe.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs.
How do your clients know that?
Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So wait, you do it because you have to?
No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them.
Get to know them how?
We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
When you can't stop, there's Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub sends powerful medicated Vicks vapors right to the source of your... so you can experience cough relief and breathe easier. Generations of families have trusted Vicks VapoRub to help relieve the worst cold symptoms. So next time you have a cough, reach for the Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub. Cough relieving is believing.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought I'd care about gardening until I bought a house in the suburbs. But now I find myself in conversations about liquid fertilizer, and I wonder, am I the fertilizer guy now? No way. Everyone knows the ratio between phosphorus and nitrogen, right? Yeah, I'm still totally cool.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Today on Hey Culligan, smooth skin and soft hair comes from where? Here's Mike.
Hey Culligan, I've tried every conditioner, lotion, and body wash known to man, and my skin still feels like sandpaper.
It could be your water, Mike.
Oh, that's harsh.
More like hard water. Are you interested in smart, high-efficiency water softeners from Culligan Water?
Huh?
Want baby smooth skin and soft, luxurious hair?
Yeah, can you hurry? I have a date tonight.
We're already on the way, Mike. Let us help you out with the free in-home water test from a local Culligan Water expert at Culligan.com.
Beloved former basketball coach and educator Satch Sullinger knows you got to keep moving to stay healthy. But that's not so easy when your aching joints won't cooperate.
We still want to move and we still want to get around and we still want to be active, but we start to deteriorate the moment we quit moving.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments help restore movement in stiff, aching knees, hips, shoulders, and back, using only your natural healing properties to help restore damaged joints. That's a huge positive for Satch.
It's working. And what I really like about it is there's nothing foreign put in my body. Everything that was put in my body has been taken from my body. I love it. I love it. Like I said, I want to live until the day I die.
Get rid of the pain and start moving again. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
This week, Staples has deals so good, you're going to want to sit down. Are you sitting? I'll wait. Great. Right now during Staples Sit-a-thon, select chairs are more than 50% off. Like the leather Vortex gaming chair, now just $119.99 at Staples. You save $140. Plus get 2 2-ounce bottles of Purell hand sanitizer, free with the Staples Connect app. So take a seat or two. Right now at Staples, the working, learning, and saving store. Offers end 2/4. Share offer valid in-store and online. Purell Limit 2, in-store only, while supplies last.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY. Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Get up to $3,500 today when you file your taxes at Jackson Hewitt. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Hottest ticket in town. On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own Jon Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone love The Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jade, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Oh my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Ohio's educators make a difference in their students' lives every day. From classroom teachers to para-educators, professors, bus drivers, school secretaries, custodians, and more. These are the people who have dedicated their lives to serving our kids and making our public schools great. And we want to say thank you. Join the Ohio Education Association in recognizing an education champion in your community. Go to ohea.org/education champions to submit your nomination now.
Want to make tonight's dinner a perfect 10? Swing by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. With 10 freshly marinated, honey-dipped premium tenderloins, 3 dipping sauces, 2 of our irresistible large sides, and 5 fluffy biscuits, it's family time made from scratch. Take home a top-notch dinner the whole family will love from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with our 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be cloudy with a wintry mix, a high near 32. Tonight's going to be cloudy and cold, a low near 18. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy and cold, a high near 28. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
This year, the only app that you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Download FanDuel now and use promo code KINNER, KINNER, so that you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything, from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. My personal favorite, in-game parlays. You hang on every tackle, on every pass, every handoff, every touchdown. You could build your own, and they are so much fun to follow throughout the game. All on a top-rated sportsbook app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today with promo code Kinner to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sometimes the best time to prune trees is when they're dormant or with no leaves on them. For ISA certified arborists, it helps them see what branches may need to be pruned or removed. Dormant season pruning can also help lessen problems associated with insects and diseases and help create structurally stronger trees that can better handle heavy wet snows or ice buildup. Contact an ISA certified arborist to get the best professional advice on keeping your trees healthy and safe. Go to treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Here at Roosters, we're not just a fun casual joint. We're a family. No matter who we are serving, our guests or our community, we strive to better the lives of those around us. Whether it's aiding in the battle against cancer, helping to educate the next generation, or simply putting a smile on someone's face, the Roosters Foundation has helped raise over $1 million annually for local charities. Our community has given us so much. This is the least we can do. Roosters, we're a fun casual joint, but so much more.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Kev, the Denver Broncos, I thought would be like a destination job for head coaches. I mean, I know last year was not a good year for the Broncos, but you have Russell Wilson. But if you were to tell me that a job that has Russell Wilson as your quarterback, that all these coaches would be turning it down left and right, apparently D'Amico Ryan is one of the latest big-name free agent head coaches, or at least potential head coaches, to turn down the Broncos job. They've had 3 potential offers to number 1 candidates, Harbaugh being one of them. Apparently, they've reached back out. We thought the Harbaugh news was done. Apparently, they've reached back out to Harbaugh trying to get a deal done, but there's not a whole lot of momentum to that, so I'm not going to go too much into that direction with it. But yeah, D'Amico Ryan again tells the Broncos he's not interested, according to Woody Page. He was their 3rd number 1 choice to turn it down. Is that the word? I mean, I know you're not high on the Houston Texans job, but this sounds like it is just a dumpster fire from top to bottom.
I mean, new ownership. They're owned by what? The people that own Walmart, right? So they got money long as train smoke. Like, what's the problem? It's got to be the quarterback, right? Got to be.
I mean, yeah.
So I know we were supposed to talk about this a little bit last week, but Sean Payton, is he worth all the hubbub?
No, because
I thought you would say yes.
I think it depends on the like. I think if the Chargers were in need of a team, I think that's a team that desperately needs a jolt in the arm of a guy. But the Bengals, I think when we talked about this last, I used the Bengals as an example. Zach Taylor's why I will no longer judge a team hire, because I think there are a lot of coaches who are capable of being a head coach in the NFL if you give them the right resources. Zach Taylor looked like one of the worst head coaching hires ever for the first couple of years. And then guess what? You get a Joe Burrow, you get a Jamar Chase, you get a T. Higgins, you get some talent on the defense, and your team starts spending money, and you get a practice facility. Blah, blah. Now all of a sudden, an indoor practice. Now all of a sudden, he looks like one of the top head coaches in football. Not the top head coach in football, but one of the top coaches. So I don't think it's that hard to find good quality coaches anymore. I just don't. So therefore, I don't think that you need to overspend to go get a guy that you can get a Zach Taylor for and spend less money on. So no, I don't think there's a coach out there that's worth $20 million. Even if Bill Belichick hit the free agent market and left the Patriots, I don't think he's worth $20 million. I don't think any coach is worth that kind of dough.
I agree with you.
Plus Gruden. Remember Gruden?
Right.
I fell for it. Man, he's just going to go turn any team around. The Raiders were average. He was there for 3 years. Kev, they didn't do anything. I know they blew up the roster initially to start Khalil Mack and others, but like the Bengals again, they turned it around in 2 years. Like the Jaguars, they turned it around in 1 year. I mean, at the end of the day, coaches, you need the right coach, but I think there are a lot more great quality coaches out there than what we think there are. Therefore, I think that they are they're like running backs. Like, you need one. You need a good running back to be good in the NFL. You need a good head coach to be in the NFL. The problem for that market is you can go get head coaches. You can go get running backs. They're easier to find than what I think people think they are.
I agree with you for slightly different reasons. And I had all my ammunition ready to go at you about Sean Payton, why everybody loves Sean Payton, but I'll still use my ammunition. So,
no, I'm sorry. Yes, he's worth it. Pay him every dollar.
It's not the money for me. It's not the money because, like we talked about with the people that own Walmart, they got a ton of money. Not the big problem. My problem would be the compensation that you would have to give the Saints to get him. You have to give up draft picks.
Yeah.
And that's why if I'm the Texans, I'm hesitant because I got all these draft picks and now I have to give them up to get a coach as opposed to more talent on my team. So that's where I would have a problem with it if I was the Texans. But another point for me with Sean Payton, the question, is he worth it for you and the listeners, is it seems like people forget that he went 7-9 3 straight years with a Hall of Fame quarterback. And that was before Drew Brees broke down. So, like, it's just small things like that make me say, wait a minute, we're about to pay you $20 million. Okay, fine. But we got to give up compensation to get you as well. That's where I would have a big problem with it. I think players and getting talent is far more important than the coach. And in a coach like this, he's going to want and wield a lot of power. He's going to have control over the roster. He comes from the Bill Parcells, the let me shop for the groceries mentality. So whatever team he's going to go to, they're probably going to relinquish some of that power to him as well. So you're going to have to give up draft picks. You're going to have to give up power and obviously a hefty paycheck. So I don't think he's worth it. But more to your point, I think it depends on the team. Houston, no. Chargers, probably.
Chargers, but it sounds like he's going to be a guy, because remember, the Raiders had a very solid roster. The Raiders weren't a bad team when Gruden went there.
Right.
They had weapons on defense and offense. So what did Gruden do when he got there? He tore it down. So assuming that he would go to the Chargers, and what he wants, what basically Gruden got when he came out. And what's interesting about that is the fact that if he got that, he may not just keep the roster as is. The roster as is with the Chargers, which, by the way, they're not going. Kellen Moore, they hired as their offensive coordinator today, by the way.
I like that pickup.
Very weird that Dallas moved on from him.
I think it was kind of what we talked about after their loss to the 49ers is, all right, it's kind of him or Dak. It's him or Dak. Who really is the problem here? Because they don't move Dak around like at all. It's almost like the 80s and 90s. Drop back and just stand there like he's Dan Marino. Like he's only 6'1". 2, he ain't got a gun like Dan Marino. So like you're asking him to do a lot. So is that Dak saying, hey, these are the things I'm quote unquote comfortable with? Or are these the plays that Kellen Moore says, hey, this is what I want you to execute? As we see in today's modern football, man, it's a lot of, we're not necessarily talking about Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson running the ball, but it's putting your quarterback in movement. It's moving him out the pocket. Let's put him on an RPO type of situation. They did none of that with Dallas, especially in that 49ers game. And you saw how it worked out for him.
Yeah, I saw someone. Well, for one, I'm surprised they moved on from him. I thought he was like their Jason Garrett. Garrett was the guy that could do no wrong. Even when he was the head coach and they were losing, he could do no wrong. So with Kellen Moore, I think what that is I don't get it. I don't get it, because I also hate this idea that teams need to make changes just to make changes. And that's what this feels like. And I don't think the Cowboys are better now, but if we as fans are that gullible to fall for that kind of stuff, I don't know.
Somebody has to be the fall guy. With the Chargers, it was their OC. And unfortunately for Kellen Moore, he's going to be the fall guy for them. And I'm not sure whose fault it is, because obviously I'm not in those coaching meetings, but whatever's going on between him and Dak, the non-movement and the play calling, that's not cutting it. So obviously they just paid Dak a lot of money. It's a lot easier to get rid of a coach than it is to get rid of your quote unquote franchise quarterback. But I did think Kellen Moore would be a head coach, because that was the buzz.
Yeah, and I thought Carolina had interviewed him. I think he's just at that stage now where everyone's interested enough that they're kind of doing the feeler interviews. Like, okay, let's just kind of get a profile on him and let's kind of get him in the building, see what it's like, whatever. But nonetheless,
I did want to circle back real quick. Circling back to, you brought up Matt Canada in the first hour. Pittsburgh Steelers fan, hand raised to the sky. So you mean to tell me that the Dallas Cowboys can fire their offensive coordinator, and they were 4th in the NFL in scoring, and we can't fire our offensive coordinator, and we scored 16 points a game. Love Coach Tomlin. He's one of the best to ever do it. What's up, dude?
By the way, real talk about the Steelers, not troll talk, real talk. Does he have autonomy there? Like, what is his role with Pittsburgh? Because, like, will he ever be fired?
No.
Because I feel like in the midst of being loyal to him, Pittsburgh is lowering their standard of what their expectations. I mean, like, I feel like when Kevin Stefanski has higher expectations than him, I don't get, not expectations, but there's more. I feel like Kevin Stefanski faces more pressure than Tomlin. I don't know if Tomlin it's been 5, 6. What's the last playoff win they've had?
I don't know. I have to think about it.
So the playoffs last year.
Lost to Kansas City last year.
The Browns most recent year before that.
I think they missed the playoffs the year after that, because that was the year. That's the year.
They went 8-8.
Yep. Duck were and they missed it by a game, and then the year before that, I want to say they lost to the Jaguars.
I just don't. It's weird to me. There's not a lot of teams that can go 6 years without a playoff win, and there's just no pressure.
Well,
that's weird to me.
In the Pittsburgh Steeler universe that I live in, it's a segment of the population that wants him gone. With that being said,
it just feels weird saying
it feels weird. If he's gone, say something crazy happens. They say, hey, Coach Tomlin is just not going to work out. We're going to go our separate ways. That news breaks at 9:00 tonight. He'll have a job by 9:05. He'll have a job by 9:05. It could even be a team that has a head coach. They'll be like, we're good. You're gone. Like, that's how good he is. So, with all that being said, if a team is 4th in the NFL in scoring offense and you score 16 points a game and you, for some reason, can't fire your offensive coordinator, I can't understand that. Now, obviously, he knows way more about football than I'll ever know. And he has to post to that team, post to that locker room, yada, 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 all those cliche things. And he could turn around and the Pittsburgh Steelers could score 28 points a game. And I could be cheering and rah-rah and on the bandwagon like Coach T. Oh, man, you're right, man. You're the best. I could be doing that next year, or we could be scoring 16 points a game next year.
So, and it's because it's just fascinating to me, because this idea that the Steelers are too afraid to move on from him. The only question I have about that is like, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles right now in the Super Bowl. I mean, the Eagles moved on from Doug Peterson. And the Eagles moved on from a lot of, they basically almost blew it all up after they won their most recent Super Bowl about 4 or 5 years ago. And here they are 4 years later, back in the Super Bowl, new head coach, new quarterback, whole new scheme, everything. It's like this idea that we have to, I think coaches have lost. So when you ask me about whether or not I think what's his name is worth it,
Sean
Payton, I say no, because I feel like coaches don't have, they don't have the not structure, but they don't have the leverage that they used to. I think the Eagles are a prime example. Man, you move on from Andy, you get to a Super Bowl with Andy Reid, you got to a Super Bowl with Doug Peterson, and now you're at a Super Bowl with Sirianni. It's like, they're like the LSU Tigers, man. They don't matter who their head coach is. Go Tigers, go Eagles. But it's interesting.
The one thing I will say in defense of Coach Tomlin, new general manager, and the former general manager who will be going to the Hall of Fame for all the great things that he did, he did not leave the Pittsburgh Steelers in a good financial situation. With, and we're not even talking about like big contracts that he inked for Minka Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt and, all the star players that they have on their team. It's not those guys. It's the others that they end up giving big contracts to. So now they're digging their way out of that situation where, like, all right, we're going to have cap flexibility to go ahead and spend some money on some free agents, some big time free agents to beef up the offensive line potentially and things of that nature. So it's a process. And, you talk about it like the quote unquote Steeler way. Like, I'm old enough to remember when Bill Cowher had losing seasons, and then ultimately they were good enough or bad enough to draft Ben Roethlisberger, won a Super Bowl, and he played 20 great seasons, and now we are where we are. So he's not going nowhere. And I don't want him to go anywhere. I love Coach T. I'm happy that he's our head coach, but that is a question that I would have not only for Coach Tomlin, but for our GM as well. Like, 16 points a game 4th in the league in scoring. They decided 4th in the league in scoring is not enough, but we're cool with 16 points a game. So, hey, Kenny Pickett, minimum of 26 points a game for the offense. We need to score 26 points a game to be in contention to make a playoff spot.
Yeah, and it's just like, so you think about, the Pittsburgh Steelers, what the last playoff win was 2016. So if we're in 16 or 17, whenever that was, wherever year, I guess it would have been the year they played the Jags, that they lost to the Jaguars. So that would have been whatever. Either way, point is just in that time frame, the amount of teams that have more playoff appearances and more playoff wins is staggering. But again, so the other thing I don't like is I don't like when I hear the Steeler way or the Patriot way. You want to know what the blank way is? Quarterback. It's amazing how the Bengals have a way all of a sudden. It's called the Bengal way is the Joe Burrow way. The Patriot way was the Tom Brady way. The Pittsburgh way was Ben Roethlisberger / go back to your history of great quarterbacks or whatever. Like it's just, that's the
Bubby
secret sauce.
Brister.
So yes, but here's the deal for Pittsburgh. Last thing on this, then we'll take another few minute break. But the thing about Pittsburgh is that he is their worst enemy. And here's why. They financially can't go get a lot of great players. So they're stuck. Their roster, if they were just losing a little more, they can get better players in the draft, but they keep freaking winning.
Never happened.
So it's almost like their strength is their weakness. Their head coach is their weakness because they keep winning that 8 to 9 to 10 game range, but they're not good enough to do anything in the playoffs and not good enough to make the playoff at times. So it's like you're stuck, Kev, because you have no money to spend in the offseason to make significant changes. You don't get good enough draft picks to get big time season changing talent, whether that's a quarterback or what have you. And it's, and I do think that sounds a little over dramatic because you could still, we're talking first round draft picks. You're picking anywhere between 10 and 15. You could still get good
2 of them
picks
this year, baby.
But yeah, it just is interesting to me. Like I do feel like it's almost winning is hurting them because you're not getting top draft picks, but you also have the money to spend. You're not really making the playoffs. And when you do, you're getting knocked out early. You're not winning. So it's just the Steeler way. It's just
the NFL is starting to get that NBA feel to it, where if you're not at least in the AFC Championship game or had a real good regular season, you're quote unquote spinning your wheels. So now just making the playoffs or being in contention, in years past, it was good enough. Now that's not good enough. That's why in the NBA, half the league is tanking. And only more than half the league is tanking. Only like 5 teams are out there really trying to win the thing while the rest of the league is tanking. That's why when I have these conversations about points per game and averages and everything like that, well, it's supposed to because they're rolling out there with Justin and Kev playing shooting guard every night. Why do you think you're getting to the rim every single time? We can't guard them.
Shaw says the Eagles are able to rebuild like that because they are in the NFC East and the NFC. That doesn't happen in the AFC.
Well, they made 3 teams made the playoffs.
The Cincinnati Bengals just did it. And they did it in one of the toughest conferences. They're in the toughest divisions. I know what you're trying to say, Shaw, but I don't agree. The Cincinnati Bengals are living proof that you could rebuild quickly. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that.
That's the thing. Like people think every team is playing from the same place when they're not. But the reality is we don't care. We're fans. We don't care. We don't care how quote unquote easy the other conference is or how easy that team schedule is. All we see, especially as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, is saying, man, we used to really dominate the Cincinnati Bengals. And wow, they've got a really good quarterback and 3 really good wide receivers. Oh, man, they've been back-to-back AFC Championships games. Oh, man, Philadelphia Eagles, they're in the same state as my team, and they are going back to the Super Bowl. Oh, man, with the quarterback that I wanted in the draft. Oh, man, Kansas City's going to the Super Bowl with the center that I wanted in the draft. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. The Baltimore Ravens have the best rushing attack in the NFL with the center that I wanted in the draft. It's just like all these things as a fan, you just sit back and just say, what's going on here? What's going on here? But in the same breath, that's the mind bleep. Man, I love this coach because we don't ever quit. We're in every game. We're in it to the end. As terrible as it is, somehow, some way, last week of the regular season, hey, man, all we need to do is win and this happened and we're in there. And once you're in a tournament, anything can happen.
Not with Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky.
Well, Mitch Trubisky won't be with us this upcoming season.
Oof. All right. You know what time of year it is?
Tell me.
No, I'm just joking. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. It's tax season. It's tax season. I'll tell you about my friend Michael Maxwell at Arrowhead Tax Service. yes, it's tax season. It's time to get, to file those taxes, whatever. And I'm usually a procrastinator. I usually wait to the very last moment, but I promised Michael Maxwell at Arrowhead Tax Service that I'd be filing a lot earlier instead of, calling him panicking, saying, hey, you got to get me in. The deadline's coming up this week. Come on, please help me. I'm bringing my taxes in a lot earlier this year. But Arrowhead Tax Service, I love Michael Maxwell for the job for the work that he does, because he loves to give back to the community. In fact, if you are military, a veteran, or a first responder, you get 25% off. You can actually call and get a free estimate right now, just to kind of, give him an idea of what you need done. Again, you could also send him all of your information on the Taxes to Go app, which is nice because you could send everything in and he'll have it there waiting for you. Go in, you pay, you sign, and off you go. It's very convenient. He makes it very simple and easy for you. As he likes to say, he loves to take the stress out of tax season. So call for a free estimate today. Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service, 937-543-5770. He is located in New Carlisle. If you want more information, check out the website at arrowheadtaxservice.com. Again, he takes care of all your tax preparation, accounting, and payroll needs. Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service. That's where Kev and I and Keith Byers, we're getting our taxes done right there. Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service. Appreciate Michael.
So my first time working with Michael was last year. And like he said, he takes the stress out of tax season. And that's like one of the most stressful things about tax season. It's like, all right, do I have all the right documents? Do I have all my W-2s? Do I have my home documents? Do I have this? Do I have that? He makes sure you do. He gives you a checklist of things to bring, so you're not over there forgetting what to bring. So he obviously handled the federal, he handled the state, he handled my city. He took care of everything. I was in and out of there. Me and my wife were in and out of there in 25 minutes.
That's
25 minutes. 25 minutes to have the stress taken off your plate. And I got a nice little return, I might add.
Does he help you get more on your return?
I don't know about your tax situation. I only know about mine. I was good.
All right, Michael Maxwell, again, Arrowhead Tax Service. Visit arrowheadtaxservice.com or call for your free estimate today. Again, that is 937-543-5770. Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service. He takes care of all your tax preparation, accounting, and payroll needs. All right, folks, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We'll put a bow on the show on the other side. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. Tax season is here. We invite you to discover how we can make your tax filing experience easier. Our professional staff assures your return is accurate with maximum use of legitimate deductions. Since our founding, we have been trusted because of our knowledge of the tax code and for standing behind your return if the IRS calls. Contact us at 937-325-6571. Information at lairdstax.com.
Hottest ticket in town! On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own Jon Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Brian Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone loves The Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jade, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Look at this. Oh, my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Tomorrow.
Ohio schools are beautifully diverse places, serving students of all races, genders, and backgrounds. No matter where they come from, all our students have enormous potential to learn and grow when they have the support, tools, and resources they need. Do you want to make a difference? Please consider a career in public education.
Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Everyone knows time is money, so don't wait weeks for the IRS to send out your tax refund. Go to Jackson Hewitt instead for up to $3,500 with a no interest, no fee tax refund advance loan. With up to $3,500, you could bring home the bacon and bring it home today. Money now instead of later, that's worth its weight in gold. Don't wait weeks for your refund. Go to Jackson Hewitt today. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company, details at jacksonhewitt.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want to know how you can satisfy every comfort food craving? Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and try a home-style bowl for only $4.59. You'll get a bowl of our mashed potatoes with breast strip bites, corn, and gravy, all topped off with shredded cheddar cheese to create a truly unbeatable bowl. Get your every wish in one hearty, craveable dish when you try a home-style bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for only $4.59. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
Deb's constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating kept